name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jaime Faria, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time it is in the world, wherever you're tuning in from. This is a short episode as we look towards the men's singles final, which is coming up in around about 11 hours from now. We've already seen a pretty dramatic women's final. Fingers crossed we can get a men's final to match. How optimistic are you that we're going to get an exciting men's singles final? Because they've been pretty few and far between in the last year, 18 months or so, right, Vanch?
Yeah, I mean, last year, the Australian Open, we had the 2 sets to love comeback from Sinner over Medvedev, who was pretty physically exhausted by the end. I mean, he plays those great first 2 sets, but then, just he spent over 24 hours on court, and eventually I think that caught up to him. And obviously, Jannik is in the form of his life. So, but yeah, I'm hoping it can be a memorable one. I think Zverev has hired his old fitness coach, and we know how he loves playing really long matches, how physically strong he is, and how he backs himself in terms of the physicality. And we know that Jannik has been a little bit under the weather this week when it comes to against Holger Rune, for instance. He had that heat illness kind of a thing that he was able to work through. He has suffered some cramps in the semifinal at the 2.5 hour mark against Shelton. So maybe these are some things. I don't know if you're optimistic for Zverev. Those are some of the things that you look at and you're like, okay, I'm going to try to make this as attritional as I can, and try to get it to a 5th set where maybe that's my best chance of winning physically.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that is some moments of optimism. Do you think that was a tactic of Zverev's the other day? Because the rallies were a little extended. It did feel a bit sluggish, that match. And do you think he sensed an opportunity against Novak by making it long and hard and tough, especially in the heat of the Melbourne sun?
I think yes and no. I think yes, he probably came in with that tactic in mind, just knowing that Novak was battling that thing for two days, and at this point in time, he would back himself physically, I would think. But he was playing more offensive on his service games. But then on the return games, every time he had a chance, like those 5 break points, that's the kind of play that makes you question is he ever going to get over the line? Because there were so many times in that moment when he was like 7-8 feet behind the baseline and not really being proactive with his shots, not really forcing the issue, and instead kind of just waiting for errors. And I think against the quality of Sinner's ball striking off of both wings, I don't think that's going to work. So he's going to have to be a little bit more proactive. He's going to have to go after the forehand a little bit more while still maintaining what his strengths are. So I think we've lost you, John. Your audio.
Yeah, that's okay. My mic just...
You're back now.
Yeah, I'm back now. I'm going to be without my mic for the last few minutes. But yeah, where do you see this kind of match being won and lost, and some of the patterns of play you might expect from these two?
Yeah, so Zverev, I mean, the last 1 year, he's been one of the best servers for sure in the game, and he's been, he's been getting his first serve percentage up in the 70s almost every time, consistently on average, and he's much better now with the second serve. He's lowered his ball toss. It's not really a problem we associate with Zverev anymore, like we did, let's say, 4 or 5 years ago. So he's gonna have to serve. He's gonna have to serve really well. But here's the thing: is that Jannik is one of those returners that I think, because of his length and his ability to get the ball really deep on the service shoelaces, it might not be enough to just make a really high percentage of first serves. Zverev might have to gamble a little bit, and he might have to, if that means serving at 60% but hitting your spots, that's better than, I think, serving at 75 and not winning as many first serve points by taking something off the first serve. So I think, spot serving is going to be big for him. Zverev, he's going to want to look to get in that backhand to backhand pattern more than the forehand to forehand one for sure, because Jannik is going to like that cross court exchange, and he's going to look for the first trigger to pull down the line. I think Sinner also in the last 1 year he's worked on his drop shot, so he's gonna. I think I'm expecting to see a few more drop shots, especially like off the forehand side. Just bring Zverev in. Even Djokovic in the semifinal, I found him using the backhand slice a bit more just to break up the rhythm of those rallies. Lower contact point makes Zverev hit inside the court where he's not as comfortable near the net. And I think that's something that. So I expect to see that a little bit from Sinner, and then I just want to see how proactive Zverev can be behind his service games. I think he's going to look to do a lot of like serve +1, come forward, try to finish at the net, because he's actually good when he's not forced. He's not being forced by his opponent to be up there, but he's coming in on his own terms. I feel like he's improved his volleys the last couple of years. So all in all, I expect this to be kind of a long physical match. And then the question is just, what are you backing? Do you back Jannik's mentality and his ability to go for it in big moments, or do you back Zverev's physicality? And because Jannik's 5-set record isn't that great. He's 6-9 in 5-set matches. Now, to his credit, most of his opponents haven't pushed him to 5 sets because he's just so he hasn't had to play a lot of 5-setters. Like he didn't play a single 5-setter en route to winning the US Open, for instance. Or at the Australian Open, like I can't really look at the Medvedev match and be like, okay, Jannik has figured out his 5-set troubles, because as I mentioned, Medvedev was pretty beat up. So I do have some question marks there. Like Sinner hasn't won a match over 4 hours in his career, and and at times he has looked a little bit shaky in that department these last couple of weeks. So, but ultimately, is the scar tissue going to come back and bite Zverev? That is the question. But I do have a feeling it'll be a close one.
If it is close and therefore it's going long, does the longer it go, the sort of more you think that Zverev has an excellent chance?
I've seen some takes about that, and I see where they're coming from, but I also think even if Sinner is compromised a little bit physically, how sometimes when you're compromised physically, it actually frees you up. It makes you go for a little bit more, and the game plan becomes more clear in your mind. Like I noticed that with Sinner against Shelton, because even though he was cramping, he still ran out 5 games in a row at the end, and it actually made him, more. He was coming to the net, he was shortening points, and I think that comes more naturally to Sinner than Zverev in the big moments, just because of the scar tissue. So I think even if it does go 5, I don't know if it means like just because it's 5 and Zverev backs himself physically that he ultimately comes through, because he's lost 2 5-setters now in majors from winning positions. So I do still kind of back Jannik mentally. So if I were to pick, I still would pick Jannik in either 4 or 5 sets. I think I'll go for 5, just because I think Zverev can make it physical enough where Sinner will have to answer.
Yeah, and the other problem, of course, if it goes long, is Zverev's 5-set Grand Slam final scar tissue.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that a Zverev, coming back from 2 sets or 2 sets to 1 down is something I would also fancy. I think the anxiety he might feel. So I'm going to go with 4 sets for Jannik. Because that kind of fits everything, if you like. I think it should be close. I think it should be competitive. I think it means he avoids that 5th set physical side of things, because it sounds like that final last year against Medvedev from memory on his side of the net, it wasn't too bad. He looked pretty fresh in that 5th set, but that's comparing it to the guy who'd just spent so much time on court in the form of Daniel Medvedev. So I do think that Sinner is, he won their last clash. I mean, it was a contender for match of the year in 2024. We spoke about it. It was a close one. It was 7-6 in the third. Zverev actually does lead the head-to-head 4-2, but I guess Jannik can sort of look at that Cincinnati one and the most recent one. Of course, they did have a 5-set match before in the US Open, and that was super physical between the two. I remember that 5th set, both were really struggling physically, but it just ended up that probably Sinner was feeling it even more than Alexander. But yeah, I think Sinner in 4 feels just about right to me. A straight sets win for either player is quite difficult to imagine, because I think they're pretty closely matched. But Jannik on a hard court, and he's got positive, whatever the opposite of scar tissue is, good muscle memory of winning Grand Slam titles, both in Australia, but also on a hard court in general.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Zverev match, because that is the 5-setter that they played at the US Open. That is like the last match in Sinner's career before, he became the best player in the world. So, for him, it would be like a full circle moment if he got to a 5th and ends up winning. And it doesn't matter, 4 or 5. Like, honestly, 4, I see the logic completely. Like, that's definitely a good prediction. It makes sense.
It does feel a bit like the women's final in that it is. I think not many people will be expecting Zverev to win. much like Madison Keys. But of course, if anything, actually, I think Zverev does have a better chance than Madison had pre-match. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts were, but the general consensus was that Madison one was kind of 80-20. I think it was a 4-1 head-to-head in Sabalenka's favor, and that felt about right going into it. And it still feels right. I still think that more often than not, Sabalenka wins that match. But coming back to this one, again, more often than not, I think Jannik wins this match.
Yeah, and I am also just wondering, like, after so many times you've been in this position, like, does Zverev actually approach this differently this time? Like, does he just say, okay, you know what, like, I can let it go, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, but I leave the court playing the right way? Like, is that something that's going to approach his mind? Also, because I'm thinking that Zverev, this tournament, he's been pretty efficient, right? Like, he hasn't spent a ton of time on court, whereas that's come to bite him in previous majors. Like, even Roland Garros, he was down 4-1 in the fifth against Talon Griekspoor. He had that physical match with Bruna in the fourth round. He had, his quarters and semis were physical. So, but this tournament, I mean, he didn't drop a set. He had a good draw, but he didn't drop a set until the Tommy Paul match. Or no, he dropped a set to Ugo Humbert, and then he dropped one set to Tommy, and then he got a little bit of a reprieve in the semifinal. So I wonder if, this time around, like, I think he's prepared to go 6 hours if he needs to. Like,
yeah.
Whereas I don't think that was the case. I don't think that was the case at Roland Garros. Like, I did think he got a little bit tired in the fourth and fifth.
Okay.
But
we're both backing Jannik to retain his title, basically, right?
Yeah. But I do expect it to be a close, physical-ish, match. Like, I don't see how it can be straight sets for either player.
Indeed. All right. Well, on that note, I did say it's going to be a brief episode, just having a quick look forward to that final, which will be coming up in a little under 11 hours from now. And depending on where you are in the world, maybe for many it's sleep well. For others, it's rest well, and hopefully you can stay up late and watch it. I believe it'll be starting at 12:30 your time, more or less, right? I'm getting my PTs and my ETs and my CETs and my GMTs down. I haven't quite got New Delhi, and I still haven't got Seoul. Seoul is quite important because obviously that's where Eddie is based.
Yeah.
We don't have anyone in New Delhi, but it's a pretty big market, of course. But I think New Delhi might even be a half an hour, like an 8.5 or 7.5, and of course it changes depending on whether we're daylight saving or not.
Yeah, 12.5, 13.5 usually for me. For you, probably 3.5, 4.5.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Do check out Vanch on X for all his tennis takes at Vanch V2K. Also, give us a follow on X at Talking Tennis TT. We're also on Instagram as well. Thanks for tuning in, and to everybody else, you know the drill. When I find the clip. Give me a second. 3, 2, 1, go.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.
My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca Jorge, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my and I'm a friend of the show.
My name is Zainab Samaz, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jannik, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time it is in the world, wherever you're tuning in from. This is a short episode as we look towards the men's singles final, which is coming up in around about 11 hours from now. We've already seen a pretty dramatic women's final. Fingers crossed we can get a men's final to match. How optimistic are you that we're going to get an exciting men's singles final? Because they've been pretty few and far between in the last year, 18 months or so, right, Vanch?
Yeah, I mean, last year the Australian Open, we had the 2 sets to love comeback from Sinner over Medvedev, who was pretty physically exhausted by the end. I mean, he plays those great first 2 sets, but then, just he spent over 24 hours on court, and eventually I think that caught up to him. And obviously, Jannik is in the form of his life. So, but yeah, I'm hoping it can be a memorable one. I think Zverev has hired his old fitness coach, and we know how he loves playing really long matches, how physically strong he is, and how he backs himself in terms of the physicality. And we know that Jannik has been a little bit under the weather this week when it comes to against Holger Rune, for instance. He had that heat illness kind of a thing that he was able to work through. He has suffered some cramps in the semifinal at the 2.5 hour mark against Shelton. So maybe these are some things. I don't know, if you're optimistic for Zverev, those are some of the things that you look at and you're like, okay, I'm going to try to make this as attritional as I can and try to get it to a 5th set where maybe that's my best chance of winning physically.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that is some moments of optimism. Do you think that was a tactic of Zverev's the other day? Because the rallies were a little extended. It did feel a bit sluggish, that match. And do you think he sensed an opportunity against Novak by making it long and hard and tough, especially in the heat of the Melbourne sun?
I think yes and no. I think yes, he probably came in with that tactic in mind, just knowing that Novak was battling that thing for two days, and at this point in time, he would back himself physically, I would think. But he was playing more offensive on his service games. But then on the return games, every time he had a chance, like those 5 break points, that's the kind of play that makes you question if is he ever going to get over the line, because there were so many times in that moment when he was like 7-8 feet behind the baseline and not really being proactive with his shots, not really forcing the issue, and instead kind of just waiting for errors. And I think against the quality of Sinner's ball striking off of both wings, I don't think that's going to work. So he's going to have to be a little bit more proactive. He's going to have to go after the forehand a little bit more while still maintaining what his strengths are. So I think we've lost you, John. Your audio.
Yeah, that's okay. My mic just...
Okay, you're back now.
Yeah, I'm back now. I'm going to be without my mic for the last few minutes. But yeah, where do you see this kind of match being won and lost, and some of the patterns of play you might expect from these two?
Yeah, so Zverev, I mean, the last 1 year, he's been one of the best servers for sure in the game, and he's been, he's been getting his first serve percentage up in the 70s almost every time, consistently on average. And he's much better now with the second serve. He's lowered his ball toss. It's not really a problem we associate with Zverev anymore, like we did, let's say, 4 or 5 years ago. So he's gonna have to serve. He's gonna have to serve really well. But here's the thing: is that Jannik is one of those returners that I think, because of his length and his ability to get the ball really deep on the service shoelaces, it might not be enough to just make a really high percentage of first serves. Zverev might have to gamble a little bit, and he might have to, if that means serving at 60% but hitting your spots, that's better than, I think, serving at 75 and not winning as many first serve points by taking something off the first serve. So I think, spot serving is going to be big for him. Zverev, he's going to want to look to get in that backhand to backhand pattern more than the forehand to forehand one for sure, because Jannik is going to like that cross-court exchange, and he's going to look for the first trigger to pull down the line. I think Sinner also, in the last 1 year, he's worked on his drop shot. So he's going to, I think, I'm expecting to see a few more drop shots, especially like off the forehand side, just bring Zverev in. Even Djokovic in the semifinal, I found him using the backhand slice a bit more just to break up the rhythm of those rallies. Lower contact point makes Zverev hit inside the court where he's not as comfortable near the net. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that, so I expect to see that a little bit from Sinner. And then, I just want to see how proactive Zverev can be behind his service games. I think he's going to look to do a lot of like serve +1, come forward, try to finish at the net, because he's actually good when, he's not being forced by his opponent to be up there, but he's coming in on his own terms. I feel like he's improved his volleys the last couple of years. So I all in all, I expect this to be kind of a long physical match. And then the question is just, what are you backing? Do you back Jannik's mentality and his ability to go for it in big moments, or do you back Zverev's physicality? And because Jannik's 5-set record isn't that great. He's 6-9 in 5-set matches. Now, to his credit, most of his opponents haven't pushed him to 5 sets because he's just so he hasn't had to play a lot of 5-setters. Like, he didn't play a single 5-setter en route to winning the US Open, for instance. Or, at the Australian Open, like, I can't really look at the Medvedev match and be like, okay, Jannik has figured out his 5-set troubles because, as I mentioned,
Medvedev
was pretty beat up. So I do have some question marks there. Like, Sinner hasn't won a match over 4 hours in his career. And, and at times he has looked a little bit shaky in that department these last couple of weeks. So, but ultimately, is the scar tissue going to come back and bite Zverev? That is the question. But I do have a feeling it'll be a close one.
If it is close and therefore it's going long, does the longer it go, the sort of more you think that Zverev has an excellent chance?
I've seen some takes about that, and I see where they're coming from, but I also think even if Sinner is compromised a little bit physically, you know how sometimes when you're compromised physically, it actually frees you up. It makes you go for a little bit more, and the game plan becomes more clear in your mind. Like, I noticed that with Sinner against Shelton, because even though he was cramping, he still ran out 5 games in a row at the end. And it actually made him, more, he was coming to the net. He was shortening points. And I think that comes more naturally to Sinner than Zverev in the big moments, just because of the scar tissue. So I think even if it does go 5, I don't know if it means, like, just because it's 5 and Zverev backs himself physically, that he ultimately comes through, because he's lost 2 5-setters now in majors from winning positions. So I do still kind of back Jannik mentally. So if I were to pick, I still would pick Jannik. In either 4 or 5 sets. I think I'll go for 5, just because I think Zverev can make it physical enough where Sinner will have to answer.
Yeah, and the other problem, of course, if it goes long, is Zverev's 5-set Grand Slam final scar tissue.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that a Zverev, coming back from 2 sets or 2 sets to 1 down is something I would also fancy. I think the anxiety he might feel. So I'm going to go with 4 sets for Jannik, because that kind of fits everything, if you like. I think it should be close. I think it should be competitive. I think it means he avoids that 5th set physical side of things, because it sounds like that final last year against Medvedev, from memory, on his side of the net, it wasn't too bad. He looked pretty fresh in that 5th set, but that's comparing it to the guy who'd been just spent so much time on court in the form of Daniel Medvedev. So I do think that Sinner is, he won their last clash. I mean, it was a contender for match of the year in 2024. We spoke about it. It was a close one. It was 7-6 in the 3rd. Zverev actually does lead the head-to-head 4-2, but I guess Jannik can sort of look at that Cincinnati one and the most recent one. Of course, they did have a 5-set match before in the US Open, and that was super physical between the two. I remember that 5th set, both were really struggling physically, but it just ended up that probably Sinner was feeling it even more than Alexander. But yeah, I think Sinner in 4 feels just about right to me. A straight sets win for either player is quite difficult to imagine, because I think they're pretty closely matched. But Jannik on a hard court, and he's got positive, whatever the opposite of scar tissue is, good muscle memory of winning Grand Slam titles, both in Australia but also on a hard court in general.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Zverev match, because that is the 5-setter that they played at the US Open. That is like the last match in Sinner's career before, he became the best player in the world. So, for him, it would be like a full circle moment if he got to a 5th and ends up winning. And it doesn't matter, 4 or 5. Like, honestly, 4, I see the logic completely. Like, that's definitely a good prediction. It makes sense.
It does feel a bit like the women's final, in that it is, I think not many people will be expecting Zverev to win, much like Madison Keys. But of course, if anything, actually, I think Zverev does have a better chance than Madison had pre-match. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts were, but the general consensus was that Madison one was kind of 80-20. I think it was a 4-1 head-to-head in Sabalenka's favor, and that felt about right going into it. And it still feels right. I still think that more often than not, Sabalenka wins that match. But coming back to this one, again, more often than not, I think Jannik wins this match.
Yeah, and I'm also just wondering, like, after so many times you've been in this position, like, does Zverev actually approach this differently this time? Like, does he just say, okay, you know what, like, I can let it go, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, but I leave the court playing the right way? Like, is that something that's going to approach his mind?
My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca Jorge, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Samaz and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jannik and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take
sir.
one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time it is in the world, wherever you are tuning in from. Can you hear me okay, Fergus?
Yeah, all good.
Good. What are your thoughts on this match? Do you favour Sinner or Zverev?
I do favour Sinner. I have, in my prediction, when I was doing my watch along for the men's semi-finals, Sinner Shelton, I had Sinner winning in 4. Whether it's that simple or not, we'll see. But I just don't think Zverev on a hard court has the game to beat Sinner in a Grand Slam final, especially when it comes down to really crunch time. It's almost like he's I think it's a tiny bit unfair, but it's almost known in the tennis world that when it gets down to crunch time, Zverev isn't the player that you want to be on the end of the racket.
I know, exactly.
So
yeah.
whether it comes down to 4-all in it, 4-all in a 5th, whether Zverev, oh hello Damien, whether Zverev pulls it off, I just don't see it happening. So yeah.
Well, we've already got underway. We've got a Sinner hold, and now it's looking pretty comfortable for Alexander. Yeah. Do you see? I mean, I think it's close. I can see a path to victory, Damien, for Zverev. At least there's something for him to hold out for. But what about that famous nerve of Alexander's? How do you see that holding up today?
Well, that has to come into play first. First Slam final he played against Dominic Thiem, like he's fine for 2 sets and a half. Against Carlos last year, I still don't really know if we can say that the 4th and 5th sets were nerves or not. Like, I just don't think we really had that sort of sample because, yeah, he was getting outplayed. Plus, maybe he was also not as strong mentally at that point. So I don't know. I think there's definitely a universe where, like, Zverev just makes this as ugly as possible because this is literally his job today. His job is to kill this match. And if he does, maybe the edge, by the 5th set could be big enough that it doesn't matter if he's nervous. Maybe he just gets over the line anyway.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I don't know how many people want Zverev to win over Sinner. No, Zverev can't have been on. I think between Sinner and Zverev, I think Sinner spent more time on court, especially with that Runa match.
Zverev hasn't had one interesting match the entire event. Literally not one interesting match the entire event.
No, he hasn't. You are correct.
2 sets against Paula. Yeah, sure. 2 sets against Paula. But that's literally it.
And Zverev holds 1 game all. Can you imagine if Zverev gets this done in straight sets? What are the odds that Zverev gets this done 4-4 and 6?
Very, very slim.
Yeah, that's what I'd say. If you came out with like, yeah, that's going to happen, no. I think...
I see that Steve was asking for me, so I'm glad that I was able to deliver for you. Although I'm only here for 2 hours, so Zverev, if he does want to see me winning, if he does want to see me see What? Yeah, sorry, I just woke up.
react to
Anyway,
seeing.
yeah, if he does want
Yeah,
to see me winning a Grand Slam on stream, he has to do it really quickly.
yeah. Well, you might have to do it in 4-4 and 6 then, or actually, it would more have to be like 4-4 and 2 then.
Indeed, and that's probably not possible, especially as I said. I think that basically his best chance is just to literally kill this match, serve extremely well, plus at the same time just be a wall, and maybe hope that there's gonna be more like cramping or something like that for Jannik, like in the semis, like in the forefront. Of course, it feels ridiculous to say that Jannik was cramping in the semis, considering he won it 6-2 and 2-2. But yeah, he did actually. And there's that 4-2 head-to-head as well. Like, why? What's your take on that? Like, how important is that?
I mean, it doesn't seem like it's the kind of thing that's sort of like bothers Sinner, to be honest. He knows that the majority of those matches were played when Sinner wasn't playing his best tennis. And I'm sure Sinner knows that at the moment he's number one for a reason, and he can beat anyone. I mean, the last time they played, Sinner did win. So it was tight. It was seriously tight, but Sinner did win. So I think he won't have any issues with that head-to-head. But Zverev will take it as a big confidence boost, thinking, listen, I've beaten this guy 4 times before. He's still that same player is still in there. Just have to find him. And well, I don't think he will, but Zverev will be thinking hopefully that 4-2 head-to-head reigns true again, and he can get over the line. But I don't think so, especially on a hard court. Maybe if we were in France, I would back Zverev. If we were on a clay court, I would back Zverev to win the final. If like somehow Sinner had taken out Alcaraz in a 5-setter somehow.
Very easily could have happened last year if Sinner wins.
Yeah, if the final last year was Sinner Zverev, I would have backed Zverev to win.
Yeah, me too.
As Sinner holds very comfortably, no one's really taking anything off each other's serves at the moment. This is pretty much as we expected, serve after serve.
Yeah, when it comes to that head-to-head, indeed, there's just one match after the explosion, and like the entire last season, we were saying that Zverev plays Alcaraz and Sinner much better than any other player on tour, really, at that point in time. However, yeah, it's not really tested with Jannik. I agree. It's just one match, really, but it was a theory. Yeah, it still is a theory. I guess it's a theory that we're gonna test today.
Yeah. What time is it there for you?
9:56.
Okay, so you're an hour ahead of me. Yeah.
Don't tell me you have table tennis practice at Infinity. No, Steve, I'll just be leaving to watch the Oeiras final. I've tried doing it before, sitting on stream, watching one match and watching a challenger final at the same time, but it just doesn't work. It's yeah, you think it's possible, but nah, you don't actually get to see the other match when you have to talk. So I'll just go off the stream then. If Zverev gets broken, that's the set. I mean, the way it's looking right now, possibly the serves are definitely making a lot of impact at the in the very early stages of this match. That should be changing later, though, for many reasons. I mean, some tiredness, reading it better, but also the conditions getting slower and slower as we progress. I don't think this will be such a serve-based match by like the 4th set.
I do agree that if someone does get broken, that is the set. I think both their serves are big enough to get them out of jail whenever they need to. Oh, love 30. Here we go. But the problem is that the Sinner return is so good that you can serve like hit bang on the tee, and Sinner might scramble a return over, make you play that extra ball, and then it's really gets really tricky as Zverev puts away that kind of serve and volley.
Yeah, it is, and like that's why I think that like this match being like very serve oriented does not actually suit Zverev all that much. Like the slower it gets into the night, that's maybe when he can actually have a better shot at winning this.
Thoughts on Townsend's Cinco partnership? I have to tell you, I'm not up to date with doubles as I need to be. I like Townsend as a player. I think she's a great character on court, as Sinner brings up 2 break points. As Townsend's a great player on court, and she's a fantastic doubles player. I got to watch her at the WTA finals last year. I watched a bit of her there, but I couldn't give you a factual representation just yet. I haven't done my doubles research, unless I watched the men's final yesterday, but I didn't watch the women's final, unfortunately.
I obviously woke up at 5 a.m. to watch the women's doubles final. Probably the best matchup in tennis history. I mean, it's probably the best matchup in tennis history, really. I don't think we've ever had like a more exciting doubles final, or even a more exciting doubles partnership than Sia Ostapenko. It wasn't that close though. Like, okay, yeah, they pulled off the comeback, but Shinakov and Townsend were like straight up much better throughout the match. So that's well, I can't say it was a bummer, because at least there was that plot twist. There was the second set, but definitely they were much stronger. Shinakova has won 6 of the last 11 slams she competed in now. So yeah, I think Shinakova and Sia should just team up, because that's literally like, you know, they're winning all the time with different partners. They should just team up.
Zverev saves 2 break points, and it's juice. I did predict Patton to win another slam, so Steve, you know, I always predict right as much as you think I always predict wrong. So it's a great backhand from Zverev, and it's a game point for the German.
Yeah, at least on these breakpoints, it was enough to find some good spots on the first serve. But yeah, as you said, against Jannik, it's not always gonna be a guarantee.
No, I mean, he really took apart the Shelton serve in the semi-final. Shelton wasn't serving very well, but neither was Jannik. Jannik was down at 48% first serve, and it was like Shelton was losing, had a 61% win rate on his first serve. With someone's serve the size of Shelton, that's not something you want. That's not nearly good enough to beat Sinner.
At the same time, he wasn't taking his chances like the early third set. You know, the conditions, they really aren't like very, you know, serve oriented here. Definitely not.
No.
Maybe here right now we're still seeing it, but I do think that yeah, definitely as we go deeper into the night, it won't be quite like it. There's a lot of analysis made on the Sabalenka serve and how it was much worse than in the 2024 campaign, but some of that is also simply that this year the Australian Open hasn't been quite as quick. And it's kind of, we would have to like bring up the comparisons for more players in order to like properly assess whether it's her own serving that has went down or just in general, especially in the night session.
It's good play from Zverev, pulling Sinner around the court and then finishing off with a big forehand.
Doesn't sound like a Zverev play, but indeed it is, and that also
kinda... I'm not just lying.
That also kind of might decide the match, like how gutsy Zverev is. Usually with him, the answer is not very gutsy.
The men's doubles final was crazy. I couldn't believe that first set tiebreak. That was insane.
Yeah, horrible stuff for Borrelli. Sorry to lose another final, but Heliovara Patten now 2 of the last 3 titles. Actually, the same as Shinakova Townsend, who also won Wimbledon.
In that third set, Heliovara was so good on serve. Heliovara was really, really good. And then Patton came up with 3 aces in a row from break point, 2 break points down.
Yeah, the last game.
It was one way to serve out a match and a championship, I guess.
Harry did redeem himself, kind of, because the first set tiebreak, he was just, I don't know, couldn't return for, to save his life. And, well, obviously there was like a streak of like 20 points won on serve by both teams there. Yeah,
shows great mental resilience as well from Patton and Heliovara. Losing that first set 18-16 in a tiebreak is tough. Like, to then come back and then produce winning in another tiebreak, like, is something very, very special.
Well, Vavasori were at that point like 10-0 in tiebreaks this year as well. And yeah, I mean, 18-16 easily could have been a lot more like, just you end up going out for the second set, go down an early break, okay, and then that's it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
Cross-court rally going on. Sinner's the one that changes down the line, and Zverev plants forehand into the net. Two pretty ugly looking kits on court, to be honest.
I think kits are beautiful, no matter the age, gender.
I really don't like Sinner's kit. That colour is not. You saying you got up at 5 a.m. to watch the women's final. Damien, you'd get up at 3:30 to watch a 50 challenger in Taiwan. You'd do whatever.
Yeah, I do that a lot. I mean, it's what it is.
It's
You
dedication.
gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, it's dedication to the cause. I don't actually know your prediction. As in, like, is it Sinner in 3?
Oh, definitely not.
What do you think it is?
My prediction is definitely above 3.5 sets, and the longer it goes, the more the edge would be towards Zverev for me.
Juice on the Sinner serve.
But yeah,
as he misses a volley.
No, I don't believe that this will be in 3 sets.
Damien is the... No, Damien's just Batman. Just straight up. Damien's not the Bruce Wayne of talking tennis. Damien's just Batman.
Bruce Wayne, oh. Vavasori is the weakling on return. I mean, he's not bad, but indeed Bolelli, obviously, he's better with the one-hander. Like, there's just so many like different ways in which he returns. Super crafty. And that Vavasori maybe doesn't have, but he was returning fine as well for most of the match. It's kind of interesting that it's Vavasori who plays the backhand side, but yeah, I guess
Zverev just pushes the forehand wide. Sinner more game point. Okay, if Damien's the Bruce Wayne of talking tennis, what does that make John?
Clark Kent.
Is John... Surely you're Alfred and John's Bruce Wayne.
Okay. I was trying to go for like a different superhero, but yeah, that's fine. Alfred is super old, so that makes sense.
Sinner pushes forehand long off return, and it's Juice again. I didn't
What
think
if,
we'd see many of these.
Yeah, if Alfred doesn't suit you, John, then I think Commissioner Gordon as well is fine.
Agreed.
Well, I mean, this is looking a little more promising for Zverev so far.
Yeah, John is the Michael Caine of talking tennis. I guess you could say that.
Jimmy Carter. Tennis. Well, maybe not so funny right now.
Zverev does look very loose in a sense. He's just really just putting. He's going for his shots. He's not playing passively, which I don't. Against Sinner, you can't play passively. So yeah.
I think thus far in his Grand Slam finals, he definitely the issues just appeared when he was close to the line rather than just like right away. We haven't seen him actually put up a stinker. Of course, it's not the biggest sample; it's just his third final, but at the same time, just his third final. But not many players, I'm sure, are like 0-3 in Grand Slam finals. So
Rude is 0-3, and that's the only one I can think of.
Yeah.
Does Medvedev have 5?
How many did he lose? I don't know.
4, I think, and then 1-1.
I have to count, but what he was twice in Australia. Obviously, no Roland Garros or Wimbledon, and then at the U.S. Open, he lost 3 times already.
I think no, he lost twice. He won in 21.
It was just 1 and 4. No.
Oh, I think he's 1 and 4.
So it's 3 in Australia, right? It's 3 in Australia. He lost to Novak, Rafa, and to Sinner. So it's 1-5.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't make sense because 1 and 4 wouldn't be like, I don't know. I just remember having all these conversations about like how it sucks that he hasn't won a second one. And I don't think it would be quite like that. The sentiment wouldn't be that. Ivan Isavic used to be 0-3, but then obviously he won one.
Thoughts on Bernat? Can he follow Fonseca's footsteps? It's a tiny bit early, I think. You have to just give it some like a fraction more time before we start really looking into these young guys. See, after they win a junior slam, some of them work out, some of them don't. Obviously, Fonseca won the 23 US Open. Yeah. And obviously he's come out and he's this, but I think Fonseca's a special case. If you look at the Wimbledon champion from the same year, Henry Searle, he hasn't quite broken onto the scene as well as he would have wanted to at the moment, but I'm sure it will come, but it will just take a little bit longer. So just have to give him a bit more time before we start labeling with the likes of Fonseca just yet.
Yeah, I wouldn't really compare him to Fonseca, but definitely I think Bernat is one of the juniors who can work out. There are like 2 types of good juniors, and one is the very consistent type, like a Bruno Kuzuhara, Liam Brody, Philippe Pelivo, and the likes. And these guys usually don't make it, simply don't make it, like literally. And then you have the junior types who just like come out, hit a massive ball. Obviously, they're inconsistent. Obviously, they're wild. But with good development, yeah, they'll get there. I mean, we've just had Budkov Kier win Wimbledon last year or something like that. Like, yeah, these guys will not have too much issues, I think. And Bernat definitely comes in there. And it's good to see a youngster with a proper one-hander. Like, it's really been a while. You know, Peter Benjamin Privara, where are you? Or Giovanni Pecci Pericard obviously is at the top of the sport, but it's not because of his one-hander. It's kind of despite of the fact. And yeah, Bernat actually hits through the shot, actually has really good pace, actually doesn't crack under it. I don't know. I barely watched the juniors this week, to be honest, simply because we had so much to do elsewhere during the Australian Open. But I did watch him a lot last year in Zug, in Basel. Obviously, he also won a qualifying match over Fognini. So yeah, I do have high hopes. I don't think he'll be one of these juniors to kind of just like struggle.
Because this week's top 10 doesn't have any one-handers in it, does it?
Yeah, I guess because Dimitrov is out, but it already happened last year, right?
Yeah.
For the first time in history.
Paul into the top 10 for the first time officially.
Obviously, Musetti isn't that far off the top 10. You could argue that yeah, he's also like succeeding, not really like despite his one-hander, he does have a good weapon there. So, but yeah, that was a few years back. Also a Grand Slam champion in the juniors, 2019 Australia. That would be, I think, crazy super tiebreak against Emilio Nava.
Who do you think is going to be the odd one out to win a Masters this year? Because obviously Popperin last year just did it out of absolutely nowhere. Any predictions this year on who's going to win a Masters out of pretty much like unexpectedly? I mean, like not a top 5 player, not like
No, it's good, it's good. So 22 we had that insane Canada Cincinnati run, right? Carreño, Busta, and Chorich. What was was there a surprise winner in 23?
Well, I guess Hurkacz won.
Yeah, but I wouldn't count him really. Although right now you could probably count him simply because he's much lower in the rankings. I mean, gotta try with some youngster, right? I mean, let's say, is it too wild? No, I mean, you know, why Arthur Fields wouldn't be able to like win an ATP 1000?
I can also see Draper winning Masters. I agree with you, Steve.
As people probably already know by now, I'm a little lower on Jack, but yeah, sure. It's possible.
I do already know. It's okay.
Popperin won, so like it's obviously possible, right?
Yeah.
Nasi Kokinakis could win an ATP 1000 if Alexei Popperin did it. So.
You make a good point.
Berrettini, maybe?
Yes, actually, I think that's a good shout. I don't think if he plays the way he's playing at this AO, I don't think he would. But if he plays Damien's low on everyone that isn't a challenger 125 finalist. Damien just doesn't like players unless they make 125 finals consistently.
Is he sitting higher than Brandon Nakashima? Yes, absolutely. I just don't think it's as high. I just don't think Jack's upside is as high as you know, for basically the other peers that he's gonna have to play against. So like the guys are basically a little better than him just in terms of their peak ability. His floor might be better, but I don't think his peak ability is the same as a Fonseca, as a Shelton, as a Fields, etc. And I think it's easier to win big titles when your peak ability is better. I mean, Alexei Popperin isn't winning Montreal because he is consistent and gets 50 of the same performances every single day. I mean, every single match of the year. Whereas, yeah, he actually wins because he can peak for the entire week. Somehow, I mean, we didn't really know that he could.
If Draper wins Indian Wells, I'm gonna spam text Damien how he was wrong.
I mean, that depends on how he does it as well. Because, like, let's say Cam Norrie won in 2021 Indian Wells.
Well, yeah, but Cam Norrie's the GOAT. We have to remember this.
So,
no,
I mean,
but at the
I'm
time,
not really
that
saying
wasn't.
he can't, but it would require a lot of stars to align at this point in time, I think. Indian Wells
You have to remember that at that time, Norrie winning Indian Wells wasn't exactly like the biggest shock of the century, because he was like 8th seed.
Yeah, but his draw to get the title still stands out. You know, it's not quite as Jack Sock 2017 Paris, but it's probably right up there.
Yeah,
he just literally didn't play anybody who could win an ATP 1000. Well, Dimitrov, I guess.
Yeah, Dimitrov in the semi-final, and then Bashvaredi. No, Bashvaredi. Sorry, Badilashvili.
Basilashvili.
Not Bashvaredi. Sorry. That would have been seriously impressive. A 14, 13-year-old Bashford with final of Indian Wells.
He was a very good junior, but I don't think he was quite that good.
Yeah, a lot of juniors aren't quite that good though. Steve, I think Draper's a good contender. I don't think he'll win Indian Wells, but I think there's a possibility he might win like Cincinnati. Nice and fast, and Jack likes it when the courts are fast. So yeah, I think, or maybe even Paris, towards the end of the year if he but then it's hard because Draper would have to defend his title in Vienna and then go straight to Paris again and win. That's going to be tough. Whether he has a hold for Sinner 4-3.
Oh yeah, and I don't disagree with him being a contender for this conversation. Definitely not. I think he's definitely a fine pick.
Say that again, sorry.
No, because Steve said you were asking for unexpected 1000s contenders, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, obviously he's a fine pick for that.
Mm. I think in his career, Draper will win multiple 1000s, but we'll see. We'll see when he wins his first. If he can get his first this year, then I can see him really shooting up in confidence and ranking. Not that his confidence is low right now, but it's just all about getting over the line in a sense. I also do think Draper is more effective in the 3-set format than 5 sets.
I mean, we don't really know much about the state of the tour in a few years, but multiple ATP 1000s, I was going to say, sure, if you said one, but multiple, I guess we'll see. I just think there's a lot of youngsters that simply will be better at their peak, and that's a problem, but we'll see. Again, the state of the tour in a few years might be very different. Maybe we have more top players like Alcaraz who kind of just like, don't play as much or don't succeed as much in all events, rather than the sinners who just basically stop you from winning any title possible.
This is why I think that, well, I think everyone agrees that the women's tour is in a better state than the men's tour at the moment. The women's tour is fantastic to watch at the moment.
I don't know. I mean, I definitely still watch more men. I would probably watch more men but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't have.
It's okay. We don't have to agree on anything today, Damien. We can just.
Yeah, I just don't know if I have an opinion on that. I mean, it's definitely fine, but it's still kind of dominated by a few players. It's not quite as like, the Wild West as it was a few years back. But we did just have Madison Keys pull off the ultimate feel-good story. So.
Yeah, I was about to say, can you even say that after you've literally just watched this AO? Because I feel like that's a bit...
I mean, Maddie has made so many quarters and semis over the years at slams, but yeah, it's really... It's quite something, yeah.
I can now see
it's
Keys
one of the
taking...
most impressive slam campaigns ever.
I can now see Keys taking the whole of February off before Indian Wells.
She honestly could retire on the spot and she'd be a legend. So
yeah, true.
Marion Bartoli wanted to say Panetta at first, but I don't think she retired on the spot. I think she waited until the end of the year.
Love
well,
30.
Akbarty did retire after Islam as well, but with her we kind of expected it was like her third retirement already. So.
2 errors off the forehand side from Zverev. And a chance for Sinner to break, to serve it out. You tell us, Matthew. We were wondering the exact same thing. Well, not the exact same, but something along the lines of that. Zverev's going for his forehand because he knows that he can't just be passive with his forehand because otherwise Sinner will dominate. So it's just that it's just a consequence of him going big on his forehand side that he's missing now, whereas Sinner can go as big as he wants, and he rarely misses on the forehand side. But Zverev no, he doesn't. That's so good from Sinner. Everywhere on the court, and it's 2 break points for Sinner. The volley wasn't good enough to outrun Sinner, and 2 points to pretty much take the first set, I would assume.
Yeah, already had one 15-40, the set. That was actually saved by Zverev, but we'll see if he can do the same. And that was just 2 unreturned serves back then, both out wide.
It made me, Zverev could have waited for it to bounce instead of taking it out of the air. But it's too good from Zverev. That backhand is too good after the serve. But again, it's making him play that extra ball after the serve. Like, the serves down the tee, like, so good. But Sinner's just there. But second break point. Yeah, I think Sinner's speed is a bit underrated. He's one of the fastest guys on the tour. He's everywhere on court. I mean, he's just returned that 2-2-3 serve like it's pretty much nothing. And it's another break point saved, and it's juice. Do you think Zverev's a more effective server than Petchi Pericard?
No. Even if his stats, like, I don't know if his stats are better, but if his stats are better, it's not due to his serve, it's due to his baseline game.
3 big first serves in a row, and Zverev at game point.
It's obviously quite insane what Zverev is doing with his first serve. Like, okay, you can maybe question the strategy sometimes and say that you should be going more for, like, smaller targets and just get more out of that. Go with the Qin Wen Zheng, like, well, maybe not quite that far, not to 50% first serves, but go with that sort of strategy, or like at least the middle ground with it. But still, to be like the most precise server on tour while still getting this sort of speed, it's kind of insane. Like, his first serve in percentage for the year is like Sebastian Baez's or something like that. So that's just wild. But
Are you
yeah,
criticizing the Baez serve?
I'm saying it's not a factor at all on any surface and any court in any conditions. It's just a point starter. And Petchi Pericard still has to be a lot better. I don't know how their first serve points won stats compare, but even if Zverev's are better, yeah, that's not because of the serve.
Zverev missing a volley, and it's back to juice.
I'm not saying anything bad about Sebastian Baez. Literally, Sebastian Baez and Alexander Zverev are the 2 players on tour who have the highest first serve in percentage. And I mean, for Baez, you totally understand that because, yeah, the guy is small, the guy has nothing on the serve, but Zverev actually does.
Such a good clay court player, though. I have to give him that.
Well, he might have a bit of a fall this month. 750 points dropping in the Golden Swing. He's actually playing a challenger very soon in Rosario.
He's playing a challenger?
Yeah. Got a wild card. It's going to be in the week after next week. So, yeah, after Davis Cup, he's going to play a challenger.
So it's week of Dallas and Rotterdam. Instead of playing indoors, he's playing a challenger on clay, I assume.
Yeah, because this year there's no Cordoba, right? The Golden Swing is now just a 3-week swing. So
right.
So basically, instead of 4 events, he just gets 3. He decides to play the challenger in Rosario.
Oh, it's so good from Sinner.
And Santiago.
Break point. Zverev hesitated coming forward, and the space was there for Sinner to thread the needle up the line after such a good return. Oh, Sinner just pulls it. It's back to deuce.
5 breakpoints saved already. Of course, not this game, but in total.
It was, yeah, I was about to say, 'cause it's Baez that won the 500 in Rio, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then Santiago the week after.
Yeah.
So he's dropping a lot of points, and in the European clay court swing, he did absolutely nothing. Like, literally nothing. He had a lot of close matches he could have won, but basically lost all of them. And yeah, his ranking is entirely reliant on the golden swing at the moment. It wasn't always like that. I don't think it always has to be like that. But so far in his career, yeah, he hasn't really like proven himself in any like, you know, big Garros run. His best one actually was probably the one where he almost lost to Zverev. Almost beat Zverev.
Another break point for Sinner as Zverev goes long off the backhand side. There are a couple players that I'm a bit concerned for this year in terms of ranking drop. Due to them either not playing the same tennis that they were last year, or just trying to watch this break point. And Sinner picks him off and breaks. Sinner breaks and will serve for the first. Zverev came forward to try to cut off the point too soon. Five, 3. He is a machine. You are correct. Missing nothing and serves like a ball. Damien's gone mute because he's so angry.
Yeah, very angry. No, I was just replying to somebody about
Yeah.
blocks and about blocks and drags. I also have one more comment that I have, that one more like DM that I have to reply to, but I'm gonna do that later. Yeah, obviously. This was like, let's say, kind of getting there. The last couple of games, we were perhaps expecting that. To John's question earlier in the chat, is Zverev making this very ugly so far? Not really. But yeah, I mean, making a match ugly is probably more of a process that takes time. So far, though, yeah, the conditions are a little maybe a little too quick for that. Sinner is serving very well. Of course, still he's in the set, but probably not for long. And yeah, that returning is a big problem for Zverev. Definitely, the fact that Sinner just is also probably the best returner on the tour right now. I don't think we have to say probably. He definitely is, at least first serve returner, and yeah, I mean that's gonna be hard even to keep up with in a serving contest. So probably just has to make this a slog somehow. Well, one player hasn't won a slam final, but the other hasn't lost one yet.
And Sinner guesses right every single time. Guesses which way Zverev's going to go. And incredible net play from Sinner. making the gaps look very, very small.
Yeah, some of the scrambling the point earlier as well. It's just very hard for Zverev to like out hit him off the ground.
3 set points for Sinner.
Gotta have like a lot of determination and consistency in order to even win a slog against Jannik, even if he's
Game
able
and
to
first set. 6-3.
Yeah, kind of reliant on physical issues for Jannik at some points where right now. We'll see if they appear. But so far so good. I mean, that's kind of the perfect start for Sinner this set. Reasonably breezy, reasonably quick. I think this Zverev backhand is not in the same league as Sinner. Well, Zverev wouldn't agree.
No, Zverev wouldn't agree.
He would put himself in there, as he always did on the ATP videos. Would I agree? I don't know. Yeah, I guess I would. I mean, Sinner right now, definitely, like in terms of the shots, there's nobody on tour that compares whatsoever. Gotta kind of like beat them using something different. I don't know, the intangibles, you know. Alcaraz has some chance always because he has the better intangibles. It's kind of funny how Alcaraz in the Sinner matchup looks like the best tactician of all time and then the worst tactician of all time against Djokovic. but it is what it is. Yeah, Zverev is not the best tactician of all time in any matchup, but he is like, you know, he's consistent. He is kind of relentless, and maybe that can get him the win somehow. So far, though, obviously, a perfect start for Jannik. Sinner last year, of course, in the US Open final, that was not a match from the very start to the very end, but the Australian Open final, he actually went down 2-2. Huens and Quimper in Oeiras, respectively. I mean, Oeiras, you know, talent-wise, it's such a mismatch. Blocks is obviously amazing, and Drax just grinds. Like, Drax is just a warrior. But it's a very slow indoor court. So if there's an indoor court where Drax can beat blocks, it's that court. In fact, Liam has been doing very well the entire 3 weeks. First week, he lost to Medvedev in the final. Then he loses to Kovacevic, who, of course, was the eventual champion. And now, well, he's either going to take the title or also lose to the champion. So I do think that this is a court that kind of suits Drax, but still kind of have to go with blocks just because he's so much better. Medvedev and Kovacevic just smashed Liam off the court. I think Alex probably won't do that. But yeah, I mean, all the weapons are with him, really. Quimper is much trickier. I mean, Herbert is the defending champ. He's won it twice and obviously so good indoors, but I don't think his level is that convincing. But on the other side of the net, you have Guaymard Weyenburg, who's like, you know, a maiden finalist. We don't really know how his nerves are going to be. He's played some super passive tennis this week, like against Jere, but still with that sort of like strong frame defending. Yeah, it's a weapon as well. But this time he's gonna get someone who's like closing down the net so much. I maybe trust him a little bit more than Herbert's Herbert actually, but yeah, I don't know. Quimper is much tougher to predict simply because we have a maiden finalist and a finalist who's got so much experience and, you know, just such an established player, but it's not like he's close to his prime whatsoever. On the men's side, Zverev the most talented player without the slam, no contest, right? Are you saying right now or in tennis history? Because that kind of is a... Well, I don't know if it's a deal breaker. We can definitely have a conversation about Zverev being the best player without a slam in tennis history, but it's not like a slam dunk. It might be a no contest now. Yeah.
Now, 100%, there's no doubt. No doubts.
Yeah.
Literally zero doubts.
He's even got more than Tsitsipas now in terms of the, you know, third final. And just simply, yeah. And of course, I'm not gonna say because you could easily say like someone like Fonseca as well, but yeah, I mean we're gonna leave the kids alone for now. we're just gonna talk about the players we already have. Yeah, Tsitsipas used to be in that conversation, but I think Zverev kind of shut it down last year when he made the Roland Garros final. Much to his
Also,
finals.
with how sorry,
Yeah, go ahead. I was finishing.
with how consistent Zverev's been for how a period of time since he was seriously young, Tsitsipas hasn't been in this conversation for like 10 years. Zverev has been, on how good Zverev was. It just seems that he just hasn't been able to get over the line of winning.
Yeah, he's got more 1000s than Tsitsipas as well.
How many does Steph have? 3?
3 on Monte Carlo.
Yeah. And Zverev has 7?
I believe so. I think it was 5 before last year, and then of course he won Rome and Paris. Honestly, even in tennis history, like Zverev is one of the contenders for this conversation. But
I agree.
I would have to like kind of,
There
you've got Marcelo Rios, and kind of depending how you look at there, because yeah, in ATP 1000s he was insane, number 1, but doesn't get there, doesn't win a slam. Only has 1 final, and he plays a horrible match.
I guess who else is there? Obviously, there's a couple still active. I mean, Nishikori was a great player, but I don't know. I wouldn't say he's better than Zverev was.
Yeah, definitely not. I don't
Ferrer,
think you can make the case. Similar. Look at Berdig and Tsonga from the same generation. I mean, even some of the guys who haven't even made a slam final, so like Davydenko or Haas, they could definitely be in the conversation too. Tommy, I mean, he was always injured basically, and Davydenko did have a fantastic run. Without that, you could go Nalbandian if you want, like the peak level, because you know what he did in 2007 at the end of the season, of course, beating Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic in one event, and winning the 2 indoor ATP 1000s. Also making
only time it's Zverev. He's just missed a smash on top of the net.
Is there any like chance possibly in the world that if Zverev goes 2 sets to love down, he still wins this match?
If Zverev goes 2 sets to love down, then I would probably start wrapping up the stream.
Yeah, just shut down the stream right there and say goodbye. Thank you guys. We've watched the Australian Open final. Match is done now. I mean, even if Jannik would be struggling physically, even like if we see that, it's still never like he's completely unable to play. So I think if you give him 3 straight sets, he's probably gonna win one. So yeah, I mean, obviously
it's a good second serve. It's an ace second serve from Zverev. So
yeah, Matthew was talking about something earlier. 81% first serve and lose that set must be gutting. But again, this is connected, right? He's hitting so many first serves because he's not risking too much, and then he's also winning less. But also, yeah, the Sinner returning.
It's very similar to the Shelton match again. Obviously, Shelton has a big serve as well, and Shelton was hitting like 80% first serve rate, and Sinner was returning them like they weren't anything. It's like Sinner's the new Djokovic of returning.
Oh, he definitely is. Yeah, there's so many similarities between how efficient they both are in many aspects, and yeah, it does seem like right now mostly what like kind of makes you stand out, what changes you from like great to legendary is the returning skills, is the counter punching skills, even as like a power oriented player. And yes, I guess definitely has that right.
It's like we all see Sinner as the best returner on tour, and statistically it says that he's 3rd best returner on tour. So
who's higher?
De Minaur and Alcaraz are both statistically better returners, apparently.
Alcaraz, really?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense, but okay. I mean, Alex, yeah, but again, his game is just like a little wired differently. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see on clay at least someone like Baez again make it there, simply because if your serve isn't as good, then your return kind of has to be if you want to be among the top. But yeah, these stats sometimes lie. I mean, there's always been the conversations about like who's the better returner between Djokovic and Nadal. And to me, clearly, it's Djokovic, despite Nadal having more return points won. Because I mean, return points won isn't just the quality of the return. Nadal is the better defender, but Djokovic
I think
is
it's
the
just
better
like there are examples that like there are certain matches that stand out of like how good Djokovic was returning. It's like there was a podcast, an episode of the podcast I watched where it's Jack Sock, John Isner, Sam Querrey, and Steve Johnson, and they were saying there was that one match in, I think it was either Cincinnati, where Djokovic was just standing on the baseline, returning John Isner's first serve like it was not really a big problem, and like no one has ever said that. So, you know, that just stands out to me as Djokovic just showing why he's the best returner of all time.
Everything about John Isner's serve is big, or about John Isner as a whole? Well, I actually don't know that, but well, maybe let's leave that conversation for another day.
Is John Isner the best server of all time?
Could be, especially if we take second serve into the conversation. I think, yeah.
Sinner holds quite comfortably.
It's tough to say with like someone like Pecci Pericard because he basically doesn't have a second serve.
Is Andre Agassi a joke to me? No. He's not a joke to me. He's just a little bit before my time, so I haven't watched enough Agassi to give you a direct opinion. Although obviously I know that Agassi was a very, very good player.
I think a lot of the returning style that Andre had, like Novak kind of just upgraded it later on, sort of. But yeah, he was definitely like the first version of the modern tennis returner. I don't think you can put him in the conversation with Djokovic, though, and probably not with Sinner, especially if we get this over a prolonged period of time. Obviously, Andre also had to face like some slightly different serves. Like, sure, they were big, Pete, Goran, Boris, but I do think that right now everybody kind of has to. Oh, maybe they can also, they have better technology to do it. So, well, comparisons between eras are tricky, but he'd be in like the top 5 returners of all time, definitely.
If Zverev goes a breakdown here, I can see this getting wrapped up pretty quickly. There's no way Zverev.
Steve said earlier that you're quickly losing faith that this will be an interesting final. My feeling was that Fergus didn't have any faith in it from the very beginning.
No, I was hoping that'd be I was hoping it'd be interesting after the Shelton match. I said that I think it's going to be an entertaining match, but
okay.
I'm still not Zverev. We've just hit the hour mark, and Zverev is a set and love 30 down. Zverev's play at the net today has not been his best I've seen. Trying to be kind. Yeah, Zverev almost looks lost, I agree.
Yeah, indeed. I think I said somewhere that like the final promise is to be more competitive than the semi was, which wasn't a controversial opinion at all. So far, I mean, it might be even less competitive. There's still time.
Yeah, the first set against Shelton Sinner was a tiebreak, so.
And Ben served for it at 6-5.
And had 2 set points.
Yeah. Kind of blew it, and it ended the match right there. This really should have been 3 break points for Jannik, if you'd think, but
100%.
in the end.
100% should have been 3 break points, but now I guarantee Zverev gets out of jail.
The squash shot, yeah, was ooh. Yeah, it was high. It was right up there for Jannik to attack it. He just touches the net with it, and it stays on his side. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, I mean, I just kind of have very little interest in this match as a whole because today is a day of Airash Quimper and Punta del Este, and also the women's doubles earlier. Like, yeah, again, that's probably the best lineup you're ever gonna see in a women's doubles final. So I mean, there's no priority in it for me. But yeah, I mean, I would like to see a competitive match. And that chance is now kind of slowly drifting away from us with this Zverev double fault.
Zverev went huge on that second serve, and it really didn't work out for him.
Yeah, like 150 maybe. Wasn't it? I think it was pretty slow.
It didn't look very slow. It looked like he just absolutely went for it.
Okay.
Or he just didn't get a hold of it at all.
I can see the speed gun. Yeah, 170 something. Yeah, I guess it's a typical serve. But yeah, I thought it was slower. Okay. I mean, it was one of these shots where like you actually have to start watching the players in order to know whether it was in or not. Yeah.
I don't think he gets much closer from a Zverev point of view.
Zverev lands his smash on the baseline. I did have a feeling about it when he was hitting it that like, yeah, this isn't easy.
Yeah, I was literally about to say, and there's the break. I was not expecting Zverev to make that.
And guess what? On the next one, he's gonna have a smash as well, but this one is much, much, much easier. I don't know if he saw where Jannik went, but he definitely did a good job just like decelerating on that and just.
It's such a good return. It's such a good return from Jannik.
So yeah, at least to Zverev's credit, he's been pretty good on the breakpoint saves so far, but he's also getting into trouble a lot, and that's not the side.
That's 8 break points. Well, 7 saved out of 8. And he hasn't produced a break point on the center serve as he aces for game point.
Yeah, there was this one long game on the Jannik serve. It was like 2-all, I think.
There was 30-all, and then there was juice. There was 2 juices, I think.
Yeah, it was like 40-15 for Jannik. Then he won 2 points and a couple of juices. It looked pretty promising. But yeah, from that point onwards, definitely Sinner have started dominating a little bit more. But maybe Zverev closes out this game here. I don't know if he actually will. But if he does... Oh, wow. Second shot of the game where Sinner lands the tape and it stays on his side.
Oh, yeah. Tough hold from Zverev. I told you to get out of jail.
You did. But I think when you saw him winning that first point, you were like, so now 3 big serves or something like that. That kind of wasn't the case, but yeah, he did get out of jail eventually.
No, I'm not from Plymouth.
This is interesting. So Sinner's average second serve return hit point, when he's close to the baseline, he's losing. When he's further away, he's winning. On a second serve. But I guess Zverev isn't even hitting that many second serves. So it really depends on the Zverev strategy too. If you have to create a player on video game, would he look like Jannik Sinner, or is there any part of his game that you don't like? I think if I had to create a player on a video game, yeah, I think he would pretty much look like Jannik Sinner. In a video game, like, it's way more important probably to just have like really good stats and technique, and then I don't know, for every single stroke to be perfect. And there's literally almost no flaws in Jannik's game. Obviously he lost 3 times last year to Alcaraz. He's got the fitness issues sometimes, but like in tennis video games, I think fitness rarely comes into play. And the way that Alcaraz was beating him, kind of like figuring stuff out a bit much, like that's probably also not really a thing in most tennis video games. So I think Jannik is very much a video game player in that sense. I think it's what there's an on-court interview with Federer and Courier where Courier was asking him if he ever plays like video games, related to tennis, and whether he plays as himself or someone else. And I think Roger said that he's like a little frustrated because they always give him the all-around tag, whereas like Del Potro has the hammer forehand or whatever, and they just give him all around, and he would also just like to have like one big shot there. And I think Jannik would also kind of right now just fall into that all-around category. But that's probably good, like in a video game especially, but clearly in the sport of tennis in real life, it's good as well.
Who is Marin? Who is Luigi's on today's panel? Damien's Mario.
Why?
Just because, you're the one leading this, and I'm Luigi. I'm just following whatever you're saying.
I don't think so. It's actually new, kind of leading in many ways.
You could say John's Bowser if you want.
I don't remember that character, unfortunately.
You don't remember Bowser?
No, I remember the princess. I mean, you can never.
I
really
doubt
get
we can say that John's Princess Peach.
Yeah, she's always in another castle, so I don't know if I've ever really seen her. But
is he nailed it? He.
Yep.
Has. Of course, he has. What am I saying? See, me and Steve on the same wavelength.
This year, probably not.
I don't think in this entire tournament I've seen Sinner miss an inside-out forehand.
Would be really funny if he misses the next inside-out forehand, but he actually does land it as well. Just for the love. So yeah, looks like another routine hold.
Told you, he just doesn't miss them. I'm really good at these predictions, Damien. Never bet against me. Deluded Steve will back me here. Never bet against me.
Yeah, thankfully I don't participate in these mostly. Like when there's a stream and people ask like, so who's gonna win the tiebreak then? I just say, it doesn't depend on me, I like predicting stuff that actually I have some control over, or I can use some knowledge to have an opinion. Whereas I think when we're starting the tiebreak, 95% of cases, yeah, it's just the sample size isn't enough. Sometimes it is. I mean, when Sinner was playing Hurkacz in the Halle final, yeah, I was comfortable with guessing that Jannik would win the breakers. But maybe with Jannik, it's just comfortable, to say, okay, yes, Sinner is probably winning this tiebreak.
Does Hurkacz have that many points to defend this year?
First half of the year, a little, but later on, obviously, it kind of dies down after Wimbledon when he had the injury. So it's very likely for him in the second half of the year to rise again. To which extent, I mean, we'll have to find out.
Oh, I mean that it happened in Cincinnati. That Zverev misjudged it and had to run back after trying to go for the smash, and it just creeped over the net. I think the net cord probably helped him here.
It was the net cord, yeah. Definitely the last 2-3 games, you can see that the net is trying to extend this. It's literally the last match at the Australian Open. It still wants to stay on.
What's one piece of advice you'd give Zverev after he loses this match to keep him from retiring from pro tennis? You could probably win the French if Alcaraz has a bad game.
What? I added Nurlan to the WhatsApp group. Where is the what? What's one piece of advice you'd give Zverev? Yeah, I would say that, well, you're not always gonna have to play Sinner or Alcaraz. So basically, just keep giving yourself chances, and maybe the draw lines for you at some point. Just stop losing to Taylor Fritz as well. That would be my another advice
Yeah,
to Zverev.
good. That's actually a really good shout. What is that head-to-head? 5-1?
No, I think it's pretty close, but that's just because Zverev had an early lead in there. I think it's like maybe Taylor is up by 1 or something like that. But
Yeah.
obviously, yes,
It's
Zverev
just
won
that last year he beat him 3 times, was it?
4 times because, well, Lever Cup, yeah, again, I don't care, but still, it kind of adds to the entire thing. But yeah, 4 times, 3 in like big events. So if you're losing to Taylor Fritz in big events and you have a problem with the guys who are like leagues ahead of Taylor Fritz as well, that's kind of where you have to, I think, well, not really look for something positive, but yeah, where you have to improve. Just not lose to anybody who's not Jannik and Carlos, and try to keep going. Try to find that slam where you don't have to play them. Well, he already had that slam where he didn't have to play them in 2020, of course, at the US Open. But
well, 3 events: Wimbledon, US Open, and where?
ATP Finals.
Oh yeah, of course. Sorry. If this was on clay, would Zverev had if this was on clay, I would have expected Zverev to take the first set. I'd expect the score to be the same, but reversed.
You definitely have a stronger shot. How much stronger? Last year, not a perfect clay season for Jannik, but he still got to the semis at Roland Garros. He still led Carlos 2-1.
This Sinner would beat Sinner a few years ago in straight sets, 100%.
Yeah, I think pre Beijing, a good comparison would be US Open 23, right? So we have US Open 23, we have Sinner Zverev, the 4th round, which is 5 sets. Maybe not the best like quality match, but still a good battle. I remember watching that until like 8 a.m. in the morning with John on the stream. And but 8 a.m. in the morning, that's fantastic, Damien. Anyway, when it comes to that Sinner, like even straight, like, I don't know, a month before the Beijing puking, yeah, I think he'd definitely win in straight. It was a very different
Pre-puke Sinner would 100% lose like 4-3-4 to this Sinner.
It was a different play style. It was a different how many layers, how many tools you have. It was a different serve. It was a different return. I don't think it was particularly close. Which is actually why we're only saying that Zverev and Sinner have kind of just played once Cincinnati last year. I know they have a lot of matches, and Jannik even beat them in 2020, I think, so for their first match. But yeah, it still kind of feels like they only played once. Well, let's sort of like, be straightforward about this. Zverev has not been the better player today, and has not been the better player this set either. But he's holding, and sometimes that's kind of all you need to do. Just hold 4 or 5 times and hope for one poor game. Maybe it will come.
It's just that simple against Sinner. Just hold 5 times.
It's not, and we've definitely seen already this set that it's not that simple. But he's kind of like 60% of the way there. So now also let's see if there's a poorer game from Jannik at some point. That drop shot didn't even feel that good from Sinner, but Zverev was just so far behind. Kind of comical, yeah.
What do you think stronger, Sinner's backhand or forehand?
I don't know. I mean, it's a case to be made for both, probably. I know that, like, it's always going to be that backhand stats won't be as impressive. Like, obviously, we know Novak is probably the best backhand of all time. But still, if you look at his, like, winners, breakdowns, and how many points, how many shots are forcing errors from him. Like it's always going to be the forehand that's going to be more, I don't know, just stand out more in terms of the stats. So I'd say that probably it's going to be the same for Sinner. But if you look at comparison to other players, then maybe it's actually the backhand. I don't know. It's tough to say. We had a comparison of rally length stats on the screen as well. And well, Sinner is winning 12-4 in the longer category. So yeah, definitely not quite as much of a slog as Zverev would hope for so far.
Are you a paddle fan, Damien?
Paddle?
Are you a paddle fan? Yeah.
No. I've watched one paddle match. It was Jerzy Janowicz playing in the final of the Polish Championships this year. I saw it on YouTube. I mean, it wasn't too engaging. I think it very much falls into the pickleball category where I'm sure it's fun to play, but it's just not good as a sport, really. But it was interesting, obviously, for me to see how Janowicz would fare on the paddle court. I mean, I knew he was playing pretty on pretty good professional level, but obviously just for nostalgia reasons, and he did crush his opponents there. So it seems like it's another one of these sports as well, where if you're a tennis pro, then yeah, you can easily switch and already be good, kind of like right away.
In America, especially. Oh, the drop shot is so good from Sinner.
Yeah, he goes for it again, and again, it's like it doesn't even have to be good, but Zverev has to cover like twice as much ground as any other player would. You can see that he gets to it right on the service line on the replay, right? Like Zverev gets
and
it.
He almost does really well with it, but it just doesn't get over.
It's just a ridiculous, just a ridiculous, what am I looking for? Distance that he had to cover. And that's why he doesn't get a break point. That's why he doesn't, he's already out of this game.
That's why Sinner holds.
There was a
3
glimmer here. There was something. There was like a little opportunity. But these two drop shots actually for Sinner were extremely crucial.
Leon Marshall, Leon in the crowd.
Who?
Did you just say who?
Yeah.
Oh, he's he won 4 gold medals at the Olympics last year.
In what?
Swimming.
Okay.
Has he made it?
I stopped watching swimming in like 2012.
Is he just?
Or 16.
Oh no, he hasn't. Sorry, say that again.
I'm just saying I kind of stopped watching swimming in like 2012 or something. But makes sense. I know Katie Ledecky. I know Michael Phelps, obviously.
You can.
Yeah, that's. I don't think.
Would we both get a completely bad haircut if Zverev wins this match? No.
Interesting. I think someone during this Australian Open, Vanch was asking me about something like this. So like he wanted me to get a haircut if something happens, but I don't remember what it was. And I don't think it was Zverev winning the title. Completely bald haircut. No, I am not gonna promise this, Nurlan.
I am actually not an elite pro badminton player. I like badminton, but I don't play badminton.
I've played it only a few times.
Morning, Jake. No, it's been pretty sedated, to be honest. Pretty much how we all thought it would go. Unless you're some Zverev superfan.
Yeah, I think obviously the second set is now kind of crucial, and you would struggle to think Zverev could come back from 0 to down. I'm not saying he couldn't win a set from there, but probably not win, given Jannik would just have so many chances, and like it takes so much dedication and focus to win the next three against any player, but especially against someone like this. So yeah, basically now, if we want to see a competitive match, we're kind of just relying on Zverev to keep holding serve and finally get one poor game from Jannik, which hasn't really materialized so far. No breakpoints on the Sinner serve, about like what 9, 8 on the Zverev one.
Yeah, 8 on the Zverev serve.
Yeah.
Do you play elite water polo, Damien?
No. Water polo, I don't know if I've even played ever. Like you have to get a lot of people for that. That's kind of the problem.
I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
I'm
it's
sure
quite
I've
a
thrown a
niche
ball to
sport to play with
somebody
a lot of
in a
people.
pool, but yeah, I don't have like a bunch of friends who want to play water polo.
Steve, if you set up a water polo match, then
Oh yeah, I'd gladly play. Yeah,
Damien would be there.
Indeed,
Second
Sean.
serve, 30 all.
Maybe this is what Sean said. Maybe this is what you have to say to Zverev if he loses this match in straights and keep him from retiring. That you have to wait to see if Sinner will be banned or not.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's a very real possibility.
Yeah, and this time the bad drop shot kind of catches up to Jannik. It wasn't quite as well. I mean, the previous two, yeah, they didn't need to be perfect. This one also didn't, but yeah, Zverev was quicker on it and it was so high.
Zverev wasn't as far behind the baseline as on this one.
He wasn't. And Jannik's dropper was way worse too. Like just
100%. It was terrible. It
wasn't
terrible, but it was not great.
No, it was like the first bounce was on the service line this time, not even the second bounce.
If Sinner does get banned, I could see Zverev winning 2 slams before Sinner comes back.
What's the length of the ban you have in mind?
2 years.
Okay. Sure.
And then we'll have, if it's 2 years, we'll have 2 for Zverev, 2 strange winners, and rest are Alcarazes. 1 for Djokovic. I am a Man United fan. How did you know?
Yeah, I doubt he'll get a 2-year ban too. But if that's the kind of the assumption we're working upon, then sure, I think Zverev could get 2 slams in a span like this with no Sinner. Funny enough, it's never been Sinner yet who stopped him from winning a slam, I guess. But this is obviously the first time. Oh, and we see the first Jannik injury.
If he loses this in a second set tiebreak, oh boy, trainers coming out, physio, all of them.
Yeah, he's touching his gluteus maximus.
His hamstring.
No, I thought it was more. But maybe I just wanted to say that. Probably the latter.
It's like a repeat of all the Kokonakis jokes.
Sorta, yeah. We had a good run with the cock, that's for sure.
I that was like my second stream, and I stayed off the chat that day. I was like, I'm not gonna get involved on the Kokonakis jokes.
Yeah, I think it's always kind of been there, It's always been something that we mentioned from time to time, but we definitely really leaned into it this Australian. I think it's probably gonna stay like this. Like literally, whenever I'm gonna be talking about that player from in the future, I'm just gonna say the cock. All right, so this is the game where Zverev got broken in the first set. I'm not saying this, as a guarantee of anything, but would be a good moment to attack. I mean, yeah. How do you beat this guy?
Oh my word. Yeah, he's so good.
There was a ridiculous Zverev backhand angle earlier, but Jannik is still recovering and back in the middle of the court in no time.
But again, it's like, is the approach good enough from Zverev?
No, it's not. But I don't think he was expecting Jannik to recover like this from that backhand cross. It's not. It absolutely isn't. But that's only because Jannik is a machine and is like lightning quick. That's really funny, Steve. I like that. Nurlan is there with a big prediction. Probably that was what he was analyzing. That Zverev is winning this match. If Zverev is winning this match, Man United is winning the Premier League. Sorry, guys. I don't think United is winning the Premier League this year. Is that even mathematically possible at this stage?
Yeah, but we're getting close. Do you think Koch can win a 500? He definitely has the quality to. If you look at the quality of the draw at Rio last year, even though it's on a clay court, if you take it off a clay court, but that's the sort of like 500 lineup that he was playing. Say Alcaraz gets knocked out in a bad game, absolutely Kokkinakis could win that. I mean, the second seed was Norrie, and then Cerundolo, and then Baez. I mean, on a hard court, I'd back him to win any of those games.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has the quality. I think ELO ratings right now, he's at like 25th, more or less around Popperin, Thompson. And I think even in Davis Cup, we've been seeing that, that like whoever the captain was it Leighton Hewitt? I guess it was Leighton Hewitt. Was just like putting him in number 2 anyway, like regardless of his ranking, just trust him more than Popperin or Thompson. And yeah, I think he is actually very close quality-wise to these guys. But obviously, for some reason, he's never really put together like a consistent season, and his career high is a joke. His career high like might be one of the worst we have, like in terms of the difference between his quality and his highest ranking.
What is it, like 73 or something?
65, I think, unless
that's
he improved
ridiculous.
It by
Someone
by
that good
a tiny bit.
at 65 in the world is his best ranking. It's so it's frustrating.
I don't think that he's worse than a Popperin, for example. So, yeah, it's still 65. So it's tough to say yes, merely because he's never come close to an achievement like this. But does he technically have the ability? Yeah. I think it was 68 already when he was 19 in 2015, and then he like improved it after the years. But yeah, still 65. It's kind of nothing.
Has he won a 250?
Yes, he has one title in Adelaide, so at home.
Oh
literally
yes, of
at home,
course.
because he's from Adelaide. Defeated Arthur Rinderknecht in the free set final.
Yeah, of course, Adelaide. Then he won the title. He won the 175 in Phoenix last year, didn't he?
Nuno Borges won the 175 in Phoenix twice in a row. Did Tanasi win a 175?
Yeah, last year he did. I'm 98% sure.
I mean, where?
It was in between.
I mean, Nuno Borges won Phoenix again. That I'm sure about. It can't be Phoenix, and there's no.
It might have been a 125.
Yeah.
I must be just thinking of something else. But I was 98% sure that he won a 175. I'll look it up in a minute.
Yeah,
well, this might be the most comfortable service game Zverev's had in the match. Who's my fave WTA player? I'll take out British bias I won't say a Brit, even though they are, but outside of British, I do like Goff, and then maybe Kazakina. I like Kazakina. Good to watch.
Yeah, Anthony winning the Ballon d'Or. That would be good.
If Anthony wins the Ballon d'Or, I'll Venmo you $5,000 that I do not have.
At any point or this season?
At any point.
Yeah, I think it's the same, but you're probably fine on that. He would have to go to like a club which is gonna win everything and somehow be the best player there, somehow be the one that's kind of like stealing the spotlight. But yeah, it is a very quick hold for Zverev. So now we have that pressure on Jannik at 4-5. I'm saying pressure in quotes because Jannik is kind of a guy who doesn't feel pressure at the moment, but just one per game. It hasn't happened yet. But we
like he had that one poor game against Shelton.
Where he might.
He had that one point. Katie Swan, haven't heard that name in a while. That one poor game at 5-5 against Shelton in the first set in the same final. He was broken. It was a poor game. Like, you know.
Yeah, Katie Swan. I feel like I haven't watched her in years. I don't know if she's even playing, to be honest.
I think she still is playing, but she's just very on the lower end of the circuit.
But yeah, I definitely don't think Tanasi won a 175. He did win some 125s for sure. Manama 2023.
Well, did he play Borges in the final of the 175?
No. It was Berrettini.
Oh my god, I'm like losing my mind.
Berrettini. He won last year. He won Sarasota over Bergs. That's on green clay, and that's probably a 125. I'm not sure, but I think it probably is.
Love 15.
Okay.
This is the first time that Kokkinakis that Zverev's won the first point in on the center serve.
Yeah, we've all got the cock on our minds, but let's now see how Zverev handles this. And he's actually gonna get. Oh, this is and you're saying this is the first time that Zverev won the first point on.
Oh, love 30.
Wow. Okay. I mean,
Here we go.
Now we have an actual opportunity for the German.
Katie might join the chat. We're not saying anything bad about Katie. We're just saying I haven't seen her play in a long time. If Katie Bolter joins the chat, or Katie Volanets, then there's lots of Katies that could join the chat.
Yeah, Katie Bolter, if she joins the chat, I'm kind of gonna have to say something bad about her. I mean, this is a good opportunity for a run. This event.
I think that's super helpful if Katie Bolter were to join the chat and you just start slandering her.
Yeah, Katie Volanets would definitely like it here though, because Nurlan is here, and Nurlan is the biggest Katie Volanets fan. And she's got a great name too.
I think what was it? Prime Katie Swan had a ranking of like 105, something like that.
Sounds realistic to me, but to be honest, I don't know.
Like this was like 5-6 years ago.
Who doesn't remember prime Katie Swan?
30-all on the center serve, 5-4. Oh, 4-5, sorry.
He's won every single point on his first serve this set. So, well.
Well, let's see if he misses one. And again, make that still 100% record.
Katie Swan's career high was 118, and she actually hasn't played since July. Last year, only 11.
What was her career high?
118.
Oh, I was close.
So yeah, it looks like she does kind of actually. Well, it's kind of off the tour right now. But well, the first serve isn't in here, so he's got some chances.
Yeah.
But it's obviously gonna miss them with the backhand down the line going into the net. Yeah, I mean this was a lot 30, but 3 first serves from Jannik. Nothing he could have done there, I guess. I mean, it has to be a little painful for him. I think someone earlier was saying that like Zverev's body language is of that of a man who has already lost.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of how he looked after this game too. Like, oh, what did I just do? But yeah, I mean, Jannik was also
has
really
to
good.
focus on pushing this to a tiebreak now. Has to just serve well.
Yeah, he's held 5 times already. It hasn't granted him anything like real, but if he holds for the 6th time, he will have that one more game where the pressure is off, and then the tiebreak is secured. Definitely clutching at straws so far. Hasn't been the most physical match either.
No. It is true that I quite literally jumped off my seat when I heard the news about Katie Alter and de Minaur getting engaged. That is true.
Wow.
I literally leapt off my seat with excitement.
Maybe in the future, Alex de Minaur can retire and coach Katie Bolter to her first slam, a la Keith Fratangelo.
Even though Bolt is 3 years older than him.
Yeah. I mean, no, Fratangelo is older than Keith, but not by like that much, I guess. But yeah. So I guess we could probably no Shinyakova. I mean, yeah, that would be another example. Shinyakova Mahac, where she's older. So maybe it could be the other way around. Maybe Katie retires and then she coaches Alex to his first slam.
I'm tired of this Katie Bolter slander, so I'm going to make a prediction. She makes the quarters of Wimbledon.
Well, I thought she might make the quarters here, and I'll wait for the draw, but it's possible.
She's a great grass court player, so good service game from Zverev.
You know, she might just lose to Veronika Kudermetova in 2025. But yeah, Zverev is looking like he will actually get that hold, so not too discouraged by the previous game. And we might be entering like the most important 15 minutes of this match.
Damien's advice to de Minaur, you'd make a good coach.
I don't know if he would actually make a good coach. I have no idea. But Pierre Fratangelo definitely did.
12,600 subscribers. Well done, guys. Let's go.
Why is that a milestone?
I don't know. John just put it in the chat.
How many aces did Ivo Karlovic serve in his career? I think we might be getting close to that number.
I actually think I don't know it, but I think it's actually around like 13,000.
Oh, Isner beat it. I forgot Isner beat the record last year or the year before.
Last
anyway,
year,
Isner now has 14,470. Yeah, 2 years ago. You're right, because of course he wasn't playing last year.
That's the biggest forehand I think I've ever seen Zverev hit. And he
I
does
always
hold.
mention this match he had against Rafa at the ATP finals, where his forehand was just like insane. But yeah, obviously that's a rare occasion for him. Yeah, so in terms of the aces count, we are definitely in third place already, but we still have 1,128 to Dr. Ivo, and then about almost 2,000 to the Big John.
Guys, let's get subscribing. We want to beat that. Let's go.
Big John should definitely play doubles with the cock. I mean, just a partnership that, like, yeah, right? So
Big John and the cock playing doubles.
yeah. Who's Nurlan's uncle? Is it like Cemilka or Altuk Celikbiak? I don't know. Ah, so you just wanted to subscribe. Okay, never mind. Yeah, 6-5. I mean, this is the game, right? This is the game where you can just like let it loose, and
yeah.
Very rarely in tennis you have nothing to lose, but these 5-6 games, from the perspective of the player who has 6 games, obviously, they kind of feel like it. At least when you're not serving. If you're serving, then you definitely have a lot to lose. But if you are returning, yeah, just go for it.
It's okay, Big Steve. We won't mention Big John on the cock anymore. You can come back. We'll just talk about tennis.
Steve is very shy. Zverev and Sinner played 2 tiebreaks in that Cincinnati clash last year, which I'm gonna just like, again, only talk about that match. Their previous meetings don't matter, and Sinner won both of them. But it was an 11-9, I think, in the first set break. Either way, let's see if we actually get that tiebreak. Well, if we are not going to, then Zverev definitely can't afford to be missing shots like this, just like getting off balance on a random neutral backhand.
Nulan, do you mean any player that's ever been in the top 30? Or do you mean like right now?
Oh, they definitely are right now.
The Skupski story. I'm not entirely familiar with the Skupski story right now.
We basically had someone join the stream once, and their name was Neil Skupski, and we obviously were just like assuming that this is not the real Neil Skupski, but after a while we actually realized that it was, and he was literally in the chat. And this was, by the way, during the Diego Forlan stream. So Diego Forlan was playing a challenger in doubles in Montevideo.
Oh wow! So Neil Skupski joined the chat whilst Forlan was playing.
Yeah, and Neil is a Liverpool fan, I think. So there was some football conversation in there, and there was something like we were just discussing, could this be real? Could this be possible? And John said something like that, like, yeah, I mean, if someone was going to make a fake YouTube account, it wouldn't be Neil Skupski. It would be someone bigger. It would be like, Martina Navratilova or something like that. So yeah, basically I then started saying that, Neil, I mean, former number 1, I mean, you're big to me or something like that. But we still didn't really think this was actually him. But then he like joined on Instagram or something like that to show that.
It was him, yeah.
Yeah, the show was him. There was a funny thing as well, because we started talking about Davis Cup, and it was just like a random question that someone asked because Davis Cup finals were coming up, and I think I said that like Argentina is a pretty poor team, and Neil's like, Argentina beat Great Britain. But it was a tragic loss indoors, let's be honest. Either way, yeah, Sinner actually goes for a drop shot here and lands it into the net, so we have Zverev 2 points away from the set now.
Just like he was in Sinner's previous service game, 30 all.
Yeah, even love birdie in the previous game, so that chance was bigger, but still they're here. Just Seems like he has to avoid that Jannik first serve at all costs.
Yeah, if Sinner just misses 2 first serves in a row,
It's possible,
Zverev can
yeah.
tuck right into this.
Maybe Zverev can tap his racket into the ground like Lukas Rosol style and just basically make Jannik lose his rhythm on the first serve or whatever. Actually, it's going to be the second serve from
It
Sinner,
is.
so.
Here we go. This is what we've all been waiting for.
I can just see Zverev missing a ridiculous forehand in a second or something. Well, actually, no. Oh my, what a point. And the guy is still gonna win that. Oh my goodness. I mean, at this point, you kind of have to feel sorry for Zverev when watching this.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
That is.
he covered some ridiculous ground in this rally. He had that, like, after defending so much, he has that one attacking forehand, and you're like, okay, this is the shot Zverev misses every single time. But no, he actually doesn't. He goes to the net. The volleys are fine too.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Wow.
I could just literally see Zverev when he was lining up for that forehand return. I could see him just like making a ridiculous error, but no, he didn't. He played like a perfect point, really, and he still lost it.
Well, even the biggest get lobbed, Super Dave. Opelka got lobbed by Murray. I remember that. That was funny.
Murray lobbed Ivo Karlovic 7 times in one match at Wimbledon.
How embarrassing is that? You're getting lobbed at 7-1. What is it? 7-1? Or 6-9 or something like that.
No. 6-11 aren't they? Or all of them? 6-10,
Yeah.
6-11. Opelka, Isner, and Karlovic. I think
You can't get lobbed at 6-11. That's.
Well, clearly you can.
Well, yeah, obviously you can, but you know what I mean. Well, it is a tiebreak, and now we will see what Zverev's made of.
By the way, big guy getting lobbed. Lol, that's demoralizing. What is this about, Dave?
Oh, he's talking about Zverev got lobbed by Sinner in the not lobbed, but it went over.
Because he had to run around it. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
There was also, I mean, Sinner also got lobbed in that point, kinda, like.
How tall Sinner? 6'1", 2?
No, like 4 or something like that.
Sinner 6'4".
Yeah, something like that.
Really?
Maybe 6'3". I don't know. I can't do inches, so don't listen to me.
You don't know the height of the world number 1. That's dreadful, Damien.
Not in inches. Not in the ridiculous system that, I don't know, just like for some reason you guys stick to.
Well, it's a good forehand from Zverev, and Sinner can't quite get to it. So, 1-love, Zverev.
That 30-all point, like if Jannik wins the tiebreak.
Yeah. That's gonna be brutal for Zverev. I could see if Sinner wins the tiebreak after that 30-all point, I can see this being like 6-2 in the third.
And obviously on the screen we also have that Sinner has won 15 of his last 17 tiebreaks. I think he was on a similar streak in the summer, right? He lost 1 to Medvedev maybe at Wimbledon or something like that, but he was on a streak of like 18 out of 19 or thereabouts. So yeah, it's an uphill battle as much as this entire performance so far has been an uphill battle for Zverev.
Wow. And Zverev gets the mini break. Two backhands literally on, but clearly clip the back of the baseline. Jake mentioning about his favorite challenger players. Who's your not favorite challenger player that didn't make the final then? Also, I have a question for Damien. Do you see Block making a breakout year on the main tour this year?
I love the main tour, but I did pick him to break the top 100. It's kind of worrying that he's only really doing anything indoors for the time being. But yeah, I think he's super talented and definitely will get there at some point. Like, let's say in terms of the scale of Belgian prospects, I think he's closer to a Goffin than to a Bergs. And yeah, I love his game. Would really help, obviously, if he could also win today, because it's extra 50 points. Already won a Challenger 100 in Kobe at the end of last year. So I think if he gets one here, definitely would make that top 100 campaign very possible. But in terms of like a big main to run, maybe more in 2026. There's still plenty of issues.
And Zverev hands over 2 points on his serve to Sinner. And it's 3-2 to the Italian. Zverev not happy.
Yeah, we haven't really seen too many of these forehand chunks from Zverev, but comes in here. He had a mini break just a second ago. Now it's the other way around. But seemingly the serves are not doing that much damage in this breaker thus far. So maybe he can still win the next point. And then, okay, yeah, he will eventually win this, but like, yeah, even this kind of demonstrates how tough it is to win against Jannik right now. I don't really know what else Zverev
at the change of ends
be doing, right? I mean, Zverev goes forehand down the line. He's like actually hunting his opportunities. I don't know, 20 shots in this last rally, and Sinner is going for his signature walk right now.
What?
People
holding the hamstring?
No. People were asking him after the Rune match, why was he kind of like hobbling a little bit and stuff, and he said that he always, like, when he's feeling something, he always walks a little to his left, and that he just does it for no reason. That's what Sinner said. I don't know. He's also walking really slow in a lot of these moments. I don't know. Interesting cues. At this stage, I just don't trust them whatsoever, because I think, yeah, it's not like he's faking stuff, but he's definitely kind of like showing maybe sometimes even more than he has to.
Big serve from Sinner, and it's 4-3. Both Sinner and Zverev are 3 out of 3 in this this AO with tie breaks. So we will see who's gonna lose one first. I think it's gonna be Zverev. If it goes on serve from, sorry.
We just there's this meme with Vanch making bold predictions, so now I'm saying bold Fergus as well.
Even if it stays on serve from here, Sinner will still have the first set point on the Zverev serve. So, you know, we'll see. And Zverev's missed his first serve hit, so, you know. But Sinner misses the return. Wow. That might be the first time in the match that Sinner's missed a return off the second serve.
It actually kind of can be a very rare error from Jannik.
Yeah, Dave, he was doing it earlier after a big hold from Zverev. Saved like 2 break points, I think. And then, yeah. Oh, tough draw for Zverev.
Yeah, I was saying earlier that the net court, like the net is helping this match, but no, actually here the net might just kill the match.
That's a rough draw for Zverev.
Oh my.
He's gonna need Sinner to miss a first serve. And it's 2 set points to Sinner. Zverev really not happy. And it's game and second set Sinner.
If he lands like bang on the line again. Yeah, I was actually thinking this might be out, but no, it's just tiny bit on there. So again, he's kind of perfect on the line there, and it is 2 sets to love up. Yeah, this is brutal. 2 like really important points as well. That 5-6 30 all, where Jannik is. Well, both players are basically doing everything right, but Jannik takes it, and then the net cord in the breaker, that was just a complete killer.
Right, I'm just gonna quickly come to the toilet. Actually, that's devastating for Zverev. That's brutal. But anyway, see you in a second.
Yeah, I mean, we said it earlier, 2 sets to love up. You kind of think that Sinner would have to have like major physical issues from here if this match is supposed to be, still close. I'm not saying Zverev can't win a set, but how do you win all 3? How do you win 18 games, from this position against Sinner? Gonna be very tricky. Seems like this set was kind of crucial, and that 5-6 30 all, that was a point where Zverev easily could have had a set point from there, but Jannik is just insane. And then obviously the net cord in the tiebreak, that's just like something that you can't control. And Jannik is now 16-2 in tiebreaks since Cincinnati. So like, you can't break him. How can you actually win sets? So I guess these streaks that I mentioned that he had a big streak in the summer. That's something that is actually still going in this, in this stat here. He lost 1 tiebreak to Echeverry, and he lost 1 tiebreak to Alcaraz. Remember the Alcaraz one, obviously, from 0-3 to 7-3. Echeverry one is kind of forgotten. I don't actually remember how Thomas won it, but seems like a ridiculous achievement right now.
Oh, well, I was really hoping that would have spiced up the match, but maybe not, unless Zverev can really... How deep can Zverev dig?
Well, it would be the biggest dig ever.
Yeah.
Definitely for him. And I would also say that, well, it would just be like even more, impressive, obviously, if this is how he would get his first slam, by coming back from 2 sets to love down against Sinner. It would be unheard of for him. And the only thing I'll say is that, like, the only kind of like positive note, which is completely unrelated, like it's not something that matters whatsoever, but Madison Keys, kind of did the unthinkable this slam. Something that previously we haven't really thought she never really proved she had it. Not in terms of her skill sets, but not just in terms of being able to beat 2 best players in the world in such tight contests. Maybe even 3 best players in the world, depending on what you think about Rybakina. And I probably can't make that case right now. It's definitely Goff in that top 3.
Let's say it was Zverev Alcaraz in this final on the same court. Would you back Zverev?
Probably. Tough not to after what Alcaraz did against Novak. I know this is a matchup that like kind of mentally is even tougher for him, but just it didn't feel like he would be able to hit through Zverev on this court if he wasn't able to do it last year, if he wasn't able to do it against Novak. I don't think he actually had, like, there wasn't any improvement between the performance from Zverev against Zverev last year to this one against Novak. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Probably not, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he'll obviously have a better chance. That's what I think. Also, what was the other record that he hadn't lost in straight sets? Yeah, he hasn't lost in straight sets since the Lajovic loss, I think, in Cincinnati 23, which was also his last loss to a non-top 20 player. But that was right after he won Toronto, so he was kind of tired there. Well, first game goes to Sinner already. Zverev had that backhand down the line he could look at like 15-0, but after that the game went a bit more quiet. Yeah, I mean, the belief, is it still there for Zverev? I guess we're not gonna find out.
It's hard to say yes.
Yeah, I guess
especially
we can also just argue it wasn't ever there.
I mean, I think it might have been there at 30-all, and that point at 30-all, or even 4-all in the tiebreak, and then Sinner gets the net cord. Maybe before they happened, where I had the belief, but it's a long way back now. It's a long, long way back, especially against Sinner. But crazier things have happened. Nadal was 2 sets and love 40 down. And he came out good one. So
yeah, he was down against Daniel Medvedev though.
But I guess that's because it's Rafa. So
and he was down against Daniel Medvedev, so both ways really.
Yeah, again, it's just Medvedev's fault for being Medvedev. Just bullying Zverev around the court. I think Zverev's body language has been super negative ever since he missed that volley at game point 4-3 in the first set, or 3-4, sorry, in the first set.
By the way, a comment that I guess we stated something like this, something similar like this, but someone just commented on my tweet that it seemed like Zverev had all the luck in that set. Turns out it was all bait with the net court coming when it did. And yeah, exactly. I think I mentioned a few times that like every single shot that clips the tape, it just stays on Sinner's side. It doesn't help him, or it helps Zverev. But then yeah, at 4-all, it just all kind of gave it. I mean, sure, Jannik hits a big serve and an inside, down the line forehand winner on the next 2 points, but it will still be 6-5 potentially. So,
Dave, I'd like to clarify I'm not lumping Zverev and Nadal in the same category. One has 22 Grand Slams, one has 0. I would never. I've just said that stranger things have happened. I also did say that it's less likely because it's Nadal and this is Zverev. So just like to clarify, I don't think that Nadal and Zverev are in the same category. Thanks. Just in case, anyone thought that they were for some reason. What do you think about Dave's comment there that Zverev's almost hoping one that will fall in his lap instead of actually just fighting to get one?
I don't know. I mean, he was fighting to get one in the second set. I think his engagement has been okay so far. I don't know how it will be in the third set, though. Is Zverev entitled generally? Yeah. But I don't really know why we'd make that argument. I mean, definitely US Open 2020, he was just kind of expecting to get that one. Had a lot of tough matches along the way, but at some point he was in such a winning position against Team. But it was his first final, and I don't think last year he was, thinking that he should just be given one. I mean, definitely, I believe that there will be a part of him that's like, I can't believe I haven't won one yet. But at the same time, he's playing Sinner today. Like, it's not like his effort has been poor. It's just been Sinner is better. I mean, you can't break him. You can't win tie breaks. So what are you really going to do?
It will start getting a mental battle eventually for Zverev when it gets to this point, especially with those 2 points, as in 30-all, 6-5, 2 points away from taking the set. And then 4-all, where obviously he had that bad net cord that really helped Sinner out, and then Sinner playing an unreal point.
Which one do you think is tougher to handle?
I think 4-all in the tiebreak is tougher to handle.
I think so too.
Because
is it just because of the score, or also because of how?
Yeah, there's nothing Sinner could have done about that, and there's nothing Zverev could have done about that. Sinner played an excellent point at 30-all and stayed in it and played supremely well. In the 4-all in the tiebreak, there's nothing that Zverev or Sinner could have done about it. It was just unlucky.
Yeah. I do think that just the fact that you don't have any control over that 4-all point, that's definitely way more frustrating than just doing everything, almost everything right. You can definitely kill one of these 2 volleys, maybe the first one can be slightly better. It's still fine for a Zverev volley. I was expecting something way worse. And but yeah, like here, there's just literally nothing you can do about it. Sometimes you can track down the net cord, and maybe sometimes you can look into it as in like, okay, my reaction wasn't that quick or something. But no, I think Zverev actually reacted okay here too. It's just that sometimes the ball just dies. But yeah, I wouldn't like really freak out over the 2 volleys that he played there. That 5-6 30-all point. Especially the first one is just really good, and the second is more of a reaction. I mean, obviously, sometimes you're going to be lucky and it's just going to be a perfect drop volley, but Just thinks Sasha is winning set 3. Maybe. We'll see. Definitely, I would just take a lot of focus from him to even like keep holding here. He's going to be behind on the scoreboard. We'll see. Still hasn't created a breakpoint on the Sinner serve somehow.
Yeah, he hasn't. Will this be the... If he doesn't for the entire match, will it be the first Grand Slam final without creating a breakpoint? Or did Fritz...
Very interesting question.
Did Fritz create a breakpoint on the Sinner serve in the US Open final?
I believe he did, but I would have to check that. But that's a very interesting question. Was there ever a Grand Slam final where there was literally no breakpoint? Definitely, the first 5-set match, the first 5-set match that a player has not created any breakpoints in. That was to this Australian Open, Giovanni Pericard against Kyle Monfils. But of course, there could be straight setters, and it's much easier there. So 24 US Open, right? For Taylor Fritz. Taylor Fritz at the 24 US Open had... Oh, he broke Sinner twice. Yeah, that's true.
Oh, okay.
I forgot about that, yeah. It was just such a, ridiculous match that... I mean, who could potentially, who could have not faced a breakpoint in a Grand Slam final? I guess Federer is our best bet, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. He only faced one against Cilic at Wimbledon 2017. He only faced one as well against Gonzalez at 2007 Australian Open. And he actually didn't face one against Mark Philippoussis 2003 Wimbledon. So at least one instance of this in the past. I probably won't keep checking right now for other players, but at least there's been at least one instance of this in the past.
Murray only faced 2 breakpoints in the entire match against Raonic in the 2016 final.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that, but indeed makes sense. Was there any, did he save both or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
remember
Murray...
there was 2 tie breaks, I think, and 1 normal set, right? But
yeah.
I didn't know if there were any breaks along the way. Almost, 8.5 years ago now. Sean, Federer Hewitt, there was a break there. Even though it was 2 bagels, but in the second set there was an exchange of breaks, the one that got to the tie break, and I think he did actually have to save a lot of break points. Am I rooting for Zverev or Sinner? I was rooting for a 5-setter. I think it's I said at some point that this event, because people started complaining, at first this event was really good, the first week or so. And then people started complaining about the men's one, right? The women's, I mean, it definitely is going to be legendary because of what Keys did. But on the men's side, I think at some points, definitely a lot of the matches were just disappointing. Of course, the semi-final day was just absolutely awful. Quarterfinals, sure, you can maybe say Djokovic Alcaraz was entertaining, if not good quality-wise. But otherwise, also not that much really that you could get excited by. However, I think I said that from this being a good event, we're literally missing one thing, and that's Sinner getting pushed by someone. I don't care if he wins or not, but I want to see him pushed by somebody. And we just haven't had that. I mean, the only real time when he was in trouble this event was when he was struggling physically against Rune. But then, of course, it became actually Rune was down 2 after his first 3 matches being so long. So there was nothing really that came out of that. So unless we get even 4 sets here or 5 sets, it unfortunately will go down similarly to the US Open last year, where just Jannik is far too good for everybody in the draw. And it's kind of tough to get excited about these matches because there's never any intrigue in them.
Dave, no, I'm not. Well, I might play today, but it's supposed to rain all day here. I'm playing on Wednesday indoor.
Well, my time is coming. I'm probably gonna stay on for like maybe 2 more minutes, but I will be leaving soon.
Well,
to watch a much more interesting final in which I am much more invested.
Actually, I'd probably believe you that it's a more interesting final. Zverev hasn't even produced a break point, which is really quite frustrating. I'd say Sinner's been serving well, but I don't think Sinner's been serving at his best.
Keys may suffer from the team contentment now. I will be surprised if she keeps up her high level. I mean, yeah, I don't think that Muddy is gonna like finish the year #1 or something like that. 2,000 points is already amazing. It will probably get her into the WTA finals with the new rules as well, unless there's more surprise champions. Should get her into the top. I mean, she's already back in the top 10, I think, and should maybe get her like back to a pretty high ranking as well at some point. But yeah, it's probably a one-off. But at that point of your career, like after so many years of trying to get there, so many years of coming close or relatively close to get this, like this is literally like the crowning jewel, and what she does from here does not matter. Like if she's gonna lose all her matches and retire at the end of the season, who cares?
Thanks, Dave. Great advice. Thanks. I think Keys will still have a good year, even if she might not do well in. As I say, I don't think she'll play for the entirety of Feb, and then she'll come back for Indian Wells and Miami. She might go on like a 4th round run or even a quarterfinal run at one of those, but and then it gets to clay, and I'm not entirely clued up on Madison Keys' clay record. So,
well, Jake's boy blocks is already on, and I also have to watch that. So this is where I'm leaving. If that final is over and this one is still going, I'll probably rejoin at some point. But that would require
if that final finishes and this is still going, I will be very surprised.
Me too, but if it happens, I will probably rejoin. Well, maybe see you soon, but no, don't count on it. But yeah,
Cheers,
thanks
Damien.
thanks
See you
for
soon.
2 hours and bye.
No worries. See you soon. Bye. With Sinner ahead on the scoreboard, even though there's no break, I think it's super tough for Zverev now to come back. You usually charge for your coaching advice. I wouldn't say that's coaching advice. That's just standard tennis talk, really, which is what we're doing here, to be honest. So, make a good point. Going back to what Georgia said earlier about Zverev winning set 3, if Zverev does win the 3rd set, then he has to believe that he can win 2 more, because that's what he has to do. As he goes long off the first point, and it's love 15 to Sinner. Zverev wouldn't have landed as many first serves as he would have liked today, which is really unfortunate. Zverev really going after the forehand. Obviously, he's weak at wing, and he pushes it long. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, Sean, I agree. Well, you have to cut the 9 and 10-year-olds some slack, Dave. It's a great serve from Zverev out wide. Second serve for Sinner to tuck into. Feel like this might go one way, but to be fair, Zverev's saved 8 out of the 9 break points that he's faced. So two break points for Sinner to pretty much wrap up this set and match and championship. Zverev's forehand failing him again. Yeah, this, I actually think this is probably, even though the score doesn't say it, I actually think the Fritz match was probably closer than this match, to be honest. Yeah, second serve, break point. I think Sinner had to go after the forehand. I think the backhand's so strong from Zverev that it's unlikely that Sinner was planning to go to the backhand a lot. Extended rally, these usually end up in one way. Oh, it's a great backhand down the line from Zverev. Still alive. You know, if he holds here, I'm going to start referring to that Nadal-Medvedev game, just to annoy Dave. Still has another break point to save first. Sinner only serving at 59% first serve. That's low for a slam final and the score. Just crazy. Break point, second serve again. And Sinner breaks as Zverev goes long on the forehand side. In the tournament, Zverev's forehand has looked good, but in this match, it's failed him on many occasions, unfortunately, for Zverev. So, you know, it's tough. Yeah, as you say, forehand miss is courtesy of the break. So it's a long, long way back now for Zverev. Sinner does go long. Wow. If Sinner wins, which is looking very likely, it would mean he's won 47 out of his first 50 matches as world number one. That is crazy. That is absolutely nuts. Personally, it's my forehand. It used to be my backhand when I very first started playing, because I had a funky thing where my hands were swapped around, so they were actually a two-handed left-hand forehand. And then I was told that I was doing it wrong, even though it was really effective. So I had to swap them around so my forehand's bigger now. Do you guys see this year ending similarly to how last year ended? As in Sinner winning 2 slams and Alcaraz winning the Channel Slam again? Or is it going to be a bit different this year? We're going to have a new Grand Slam winner. How are we doing? 2 game points for Sinner to make it 5-2 in the third. I'm a two-handed backhand. I'm a righty. You could say so that the French is the most likely place to see a new winner, but great forehand winner from Zverev. After all that talk about his forehand, yes, maybe the French, but I think probably Wimbledon's a better chance for a new winner, in a sense. I wouldn't quite say I'm as good as Jacob Fernley, but yes, I guess so. Shelton grabbing one of the majors this year, I don't see it happening. Maybe at the US at the biggest opportunity, but he needs a good draw. Maybe I think Wimbledon still is the biggest chance for someone else to win. Maybe Alcaraz isn't at his best, but I still think Alcaraz is stronger on clay than he is on grass. So, it's now juiced on the Sinner serve. Zverev's still fighting. Shelton's game would be good for Wimbledon, but I just think he'd run into someone better than him on grass. That would take him out, maybe in like the round 4 or quarters, maybe. So, who knows? Maybe I'll be proved wrong. But I just think there are better grass court players at the moment. I don't think Shelton has enough experience on grass at the moment to go and just win Wimbledon. And if he does, then, fair enough. Deuce again as Sinner goes long on the backhand side. What happened to Kyle Edmund? Injury. He was playing in, I think, Adelaide. And then he got injured, a big injury in a match against Dimitrov. And then he hasn't been the same since. He plays on the lower end of the scale. He plays Challengers, which was back end of last year. I don't think he's played yet this year. Another ace from Sinner. Absolutely not. I could not take a set from Carl Edmund. (5-2) Sinner. And it's looking pretty done and dusted now. Sinner in an imperious position. Zverev just wondering. Thanks, Ghosty. I appreciate it. Yeah, Zverev is down and out now. And if there's anything that Zverev can do, it's hold to force Sinner to serve it out, but I don't think so. We'll see. I'm not a huge Sinner fan. I like him, but I prefer Alcaraz in the Sinner Alcaraz debate. Listen, I think Zverev has served. He's hit 12 aces in the match and 2 double faults, but he's only won 68% of his first serve. With someone of the serve quality of Zverev, that is not numbers not high enough, and whether that's Sinner just making him play the extra ball and then it being that there's nothing, Zverev then makes the mistake after playing the extra ball, or Sinner just with 2 good returns. I think it's a bit of a combination of both. Sinner's returned outrageously in this match. So yeah, but we'll see how it goes. Serve with second serve, love 15. Love, sorry. Love 30 love. I was hoping it. I said with Ghosty saying it's Sinner in 3 prediction is right. Damien's not here anymore. It's just me. But yeah, Sinner is going to close out this match 6-3, I assume. Yeah, Damien went about 15 minutes ago. to go watch the block match, the block final. So. Oh, huge hitting from Sinner, just crushing a forehand. This will be pretty much exactly the same as the US Open final. Not final, so US Open run. I think Sinner only dropped 2 sets the entire tournament. So Ghosty, I don't think that's quite right. About the 80-point WTA debate. Yeah, you could say this is too mainstream for Damien, yeah. Sinner serving for the championship. He does go long off the first, and it's love 15. Wonder whether Zverev can just start thinking about putting Sinner off in the service game. Sinner's obviously under the strain of trying to serve this one out, but not like he hasn't done it before. So that's a simple put away for Sinner, 15-all. Sinner 4 points away. 3 points, sorry, not 4. 3 points away. Ace down the tee. That'll be ace number 6 for Jannik. Sinner has a 7% lower first serve rate, but has a 17% higher win percentage on his first serve, showing how Sinner's serve isn't as big as Zverev's is, but it's more effective. And I guess you could say it shows that Sinner is obviously the better returner than Zverev is. All as Sinner goes long off the backhand side. All. Zverev has to win this point. Has to. It's a second serve for Zverev to have a look at. I don't think Zverev's been as aggressive on second serve returns as he would have liked to have been. As Zverev goes wide, and it's championship point. Championship point for Sinner for his second AO and his third Grand Slam title. No, I don't think Sinner's favourite Roland Garros. Just due to there are better clay players than Sinner. Sinner misses the first serve. It's a second serve. Zverev. Who knows what Zverev's feeling? And it's the pass from Sinner, and he is the Australian Open champion for the second year in a row. As he beats Zverev in straight sets. 6-3, 7-6, 6-3. Has Kyrgios been tweeting recently? I assume not. Zverev looks absolutely distraught, which is no surprise. Finishes with a pass, which is nice, pretty standard for what Sinner's been playing like these last 2 weeks. It's Sinner's 4th Grand Slam title. Well, that's it. That concludes 2 weeks of Australian Open tennis. Sinner over the moon, as per, and now it gets interesting. Well, I'm not sure if John's actually backstage or whether he wants me to end this, but thank you all very much for tuning in the last 2 weeks for all our shows. John is here. Okay, cool. Thank you very much for tuning in for the last 2 weeks. It's been a pleasure having you all on chat. And yeah, we will see you very soon. Take care, guys.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.